2E1, Wuhan Empire. A funnel-shaped blue vortex connected heaven and earth in the Star Do Great Forest, drawing in the life force of every blue-silver grass across the forest. That energy was transformed into pure life essence and absorbed by Wang Li. The process continued for a long time until a cocoon of light formed around him, the gathered energy condensing into that shell. The cocoon flickered with a soft, uncertain blue, breathing, as if alive, its life fluctuations steadily growing. Minutes stretched into hours. The sky went from bright to dark and back again. A full day and night passed. As the second sun rose on the horizon, the cocoon suddenly cracked. Brilliant blue light speared outward through the seams, then the shell exploded into flying ash, dissipating beneath the force. When the light cleared, Wang Li stood revealed, hair the color of polished sapphire, each strand crystalline, and eyes like blue gems. His appearance hadn't drastically changed, but he looked more refined, broader-shouldered, taller, with a natural, confident bearing. He stretched, feeling utterly comfortable. The evolution of his spirit had strengthened him across the board. He could not claim he could rival a god, since he had never fought one, but below that level he would have no equals. And even against gods, power could still inflict damage. Qian Renshui had once been pierced in the heart by Tang San, so there were limits to divine invulnerability. Duguyan, who had been standing watch nearby, couldn't hide her delight. "Xiaoli, you've become even more handsome," she exclaimed, eyes sparkling. Wang Li looked down, saw her expression, and smiled. He then poured his remaining life force back into all the blue-silver grass that had contributed to him, helping them recover and evolve, an act he always performed after drawing on external blue-silver grass. He jumped down from the head of the dark, demonic, evil god tiger and turned to Duguyan. "We shouldn't stay long here," he said. "This is the spirit beast world. Come into my arms and hold on tight. I'll figure out how to take the dark, demonic, evil god tiger with us." Duguyan didn't hesitate. She jogged up, leapt, and wrapped her arms around his neck and her legs around his waist, burying her face against his and nuzzling him contentedly. Wang Li steadied her with one arm, then placed his free hand on the tiger's chest, locking onto it with spirit power. With a surge of strength, he launched them all into the sky. The tiger's weight was no burden to him. Just before leaving, he cast a last look at the life lake. The only divine power known on Douluo Continent now was the Silver Dragon King. If he ever ran into a breakthrough he couldn't manage, he might come here for guidance. But since that power hadn't actively appeared, he wouldn't disturb it unnecessarily. Carrying Duguyan in one arm and the dark demonic evil god tiger in spirit binding with the other, Wang Li left the Star Do Great Forest. The tiger's very presence discouraged any spirit beast from challenging them. They flew north, rarely touching down save to rest in sparsely inhabited wilderness. After a few days, they returned to the familiar sunset forest, then to the ice and fire yin-yang well within it. Wang Li settled the tiger at the well, choosing a quiet place where no outsiders would disturb it. Unsealing it later for study or combat wouldn't draw attention, and there would be no risk of collateral damage. "All right," he said, "the tiger stays here for now. Let's go back to the city and see if Tai Tan and Lu Gao have arrived. The Strength Clan's carriage is comfortable, but too slow. Flying ourselves is faster." Duguyan looked at the tiger, then at him, her expression resolute. "You can study the tiger and seek the path to godhood," she said. "I must work harder. The Sky Azure Bull Python's spirit ring and spirit bone gave me 86 level spirit power. I need 4 more levels to reach my goal. I have to speed up and become a titled Douluo as soon as possible." Wang Li smiled encouragingly. With the talent boost from the yearning heartbroken red and the crystal blood dragon ginseng immortal herbs, plus the many high-level spirit rings and spirit bones you've absorbed, 4 levels shouldn't be hard. The 9th soul ring is crucial, no less important than the 7th. The ocean has its own kinds of spirit beasts. If we can't find suitable ones on land, we'll look there. We must find the perfect spirit ring. Duguyan thought of his terrifying strength and smiled. "I believe you," she said softly. "Whether it's 100,000-year spirit beast or a 1,000,000-year one, if it exists, you'll help me find it." Wang Li's true target was the deep-sea demon whale king from the demon whale sea, a 1,000,000-year spirit beast on the verge of a dragon transformation. Its spirit ring would be ideal, but would such a colossal ancient beast willingly sacrifice itself? With Duguyan's current conditions, she could absorb even a fierce beast's spirit ring, but a divine beast's ring would be risky. Wang Li's power to resurrect could not possibly repay 1,000,000 years of cultivation. Dying and reviving wouldn't sway a deep-sea demon whale king. Back at Heaven Do City, they returned to the sect faster than expected. Taitan and Lu Gao had not yet arrived. Wang Li explained their early return. They had been to the Stardew Great Forest and flown straight back. News reached him there about the wider world. Ever since the Spirit Hall's re-election, the newly elected 7 great sects, backed by Spirit Hall, had begun forcibly absorbing Spirit Master sects and families under the pretext of reorganizing the Spirit Master world. They acted lawlessly, rapidly swelling in power. Only a few forces dared resist, such as the 4 Element Academies, who had cooperated with Wang Li and were under his protection, and the Clear Sky sect and the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, which remained relatively unaffected. The Clear Sky sect's main clansmen were still secluded deep in the mountains. Most of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School's remaining members were under the Tiando Imperial family's protection. Despite warnings from the 2 great empires, the new 7 great sects pressed on, and Spirit Hall paid no heed. Bibi Dong was quietly orchestrating a major move. Wang Li suspected this was only the first skirmish before a true storm. The expansion by the 7 great sects would help Bibi Dong seize kingdoms and duchies, diverting the empire's attention. He wanted to unify the continent, but not by becoming its public enemy. Bad deeds should be done by bad people, not by him forcing mankind to unite against him. A few days later, Taitan and Lu Gao arrived. They were surprised to see Wang Li and Duguyan back so soon, but not shocked. As a titled Douluo, Wang Li's flying speed outpaced any carriage. With Lu Gao, Wang Li had a clearer picture of his plans: a sect to provide people and funds, an academy to train talent, and Lu Gao to handle research. Lu Gao, feeling his foundation lacked strength, first went to the Strength Clan's hidden weapons production line to study the weapons from basic to advanced levels before tackling the Peacock Plume, Buddha's Fury Tang Lotus, and Torrential Pear Blossom Needle. Wang Li, meanwhile, pressed on with the administrative work of establishing the sect and building the academy. He handled applications himself. The Heaven Do Empire dared not obstruct him. He purchased a mountain range and the land at its base at the cost of barren land, now private territory, and secured enforcement rights over trespassers. The Defense Clan began construction, and the sect and academy building officially commenced. While Wang Li focused on these massive projects, the continent's political situation worsened. In less than 3 months, the 7 great sects spoke in unison. To better regulate Spirit Masters, they proposed that Spirit Hall formally establish a nation to ensure the continent's stability and the cultivation of Spirit Masters. Bibi Dong ordered all Spirit Halls in the 2 great empires to close and for their personnel to return to Spirit City. Then Spirit Hall formally announced it would establish a nation for the continent and Spirit Masters. One by one, the kingdoms and duchies under the 2 great empires surrendered, handing over their territories, armies, and citizens. In Spirit City's Supreme Pontiff Palace, Bibi Dong was crowned Empress of the Spirit Empire, and Hulina was named Holy Maiden, the imperial successor. In a short time, a vast empire centered on Spirit City rose, territory spanning between the 2 great empires and rivaling either in size. Its population and army might have been smaller, but its Spirit Master power was terrifying. Bibi Dong's first decree ordered all Spirit Masters on the continent to enter Spirit Empire territory and submit to its governance, or be labeled heretics to be eliminated. With Spirit Hall's influence and the 7 great sects' forces, the Spirit Empire rapidly absorbed 70% of the continent's Spirit Master strength. It then seized territories and reorganized armies ruthlessly, eliminating dissent and using abundant resources to grow stronger by the day, casting covetous eyes toward the 2 great empires to the south and north. In the Heaven Do Imperial Palace, Emperor Shuoye's health, already fragile, was shaken by the news. He summoned the Haotian sect's 2nd elder and Ning Fengji of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School to his bedside. Rage warped his face, but his voice trembled with fear. I never imagined Spirit Hall would be so brazen, he barked. They've directly interfered in secular affairs, establishing the Spirit Empire and converting half of our Heaven Du Empire's territory into Spirit Empire land. This is secession. It's an insult to the forebears of my empire. We must act, he continued. We have a 1,000,000-strong army. The Clear Sky sect can send 5 titled Douluo. The 7 treasure-glazed tile school has Sword and Bone, 2 titled Douluo. While the Spirit Empire is still consolidating, we should strike Spirit City and eliminate Bibi Dong. If we wait until they finish digesting those kingdoms and duchies, it will be far harder. He pressed his point. With the Tiando imperial family, the Clear Sky sect, and the 7 treasure-glazed tile school united, he believed they had at least a 90% chance. But his summons met silence. The Haotian sect's second elder and Ning Fengji did not answer. They were unwilling to stake everything on a suicidal gamble for the Tiando imperial family. The plan was too risky. Failure would mean total ruin. Emperor Shuiye's expression froze. These were the allies he had counted on. The 7 treasure-glazed tile school's weakness was expected, but the Clear Sky sect's refusal stung him the most. Their earlier promise of 5 titled Douluo suddenly seemed like an empty boast. Feeling betrayed and suffocated, he muttered in despair, "Clear Sky sect, cowards. No wonder they went into seclusion. My body, my empire, what am I to do?" Soul power level 100. Soul power level 100. Heaven Du City, Imperial Palace. Emperor Shuiye had visibly aged overnight. He had wanted to strike while the newly formed Spirit Empire was still trying to organize its territory, armies, and people, to launch a swift blow at Spirit City and eliminate Bibi Dong. Instead, both the Hao Qian sect's second elder and Ning Fengji of the 7 treasure-glazed tile school remained unmoved and unwilling to support him. To them, the ordinary imperial forces weren't the true threat. The real danger was the number of spirit masters clustered in Spirit City, and more importantly, the terrifying handful of titled Douluo, powers that could consign them to ruin. They simply didn't share the emperor's view. Shuiye could do nothing but swallow his fury. His body felt older by the hour. Humbled, he forced himself to ask, "In the current situation, with the Spirit Empire eyeing us, what should the Heaven Du Empire do?" At last, the Haotian sect second elder spoke. He puffed out his chest and promised with conviction, trying to reassure the emperor. "Your Majesty, though the Spirit Empire has been established, they absolutely won't be strong enough to launch an offensive for 3 to 5 years. If they truly dare to attack, Clear Sky sect will send out all its elites. 5 titled Douluo, numerous Spirit Douluo, and our Spirit Saint-level masters will not allow the enemy to set foot on Heaven Do land." The second elder and his sect had been shaken by Spirit Hall's sudden transformation into an empire, more shocked than by the re-election among the 7 great sects. They dared not follow the imperial army to take the initiative against Spirit Hall. But if Spirit Hall attacked, they would be forced to fight. They had hidden in the deep mountains to avoid being swept up. If the continent were unified under Spirit Hall, hideouts would mean nothing. The second elder's speech was bold, but Emperor Shuiye felt a fresh, burning resentment. These Clear Sky sect cowards were proud now, yet when he wanted to act, they'd been silent. If he didn't still need them, he longed to scold them thoroughly. Forcibly restraining himself, he turned to Ning Fengji, hoping for a more practical plan. "Schoolmaster Ning, Spirit Hall's ambition is clear. If we don't take the initiative, do we just watch them grow and wait to be wiped out?" Ning Fengji's face was grave. He'd never imagined Spirit Hall would go so far as to establish an empire. This signaled they aimed to unify the continent. If Spirit Hall attacked from north and south and crushed Heaven Do and Star Luo, there would be nowhere left to hide. His voice was low and steady. "Your Majesty, the situation is extremely unfavorable. We must be careful. If we rush and fail, it will be perdition. We must hasten our preparations, expand the army, and intensify training. Most importantly, the Empire must recruit more Spirit Masters unwilling to submit to Spirit Hall, whether through wealth or noble titles. A true Spirit Master army is our only hope. Without it, we can't stand against Spirit Hall's masses of high-level Spirit Masters." Emperor Shuiye relaxed slightly. Unlike the second elder's bluster, Ning Fengji's proposals were practical. After thinking a moment, He addressed them both. Second Elder, when will your Clear Sky sect truly produce the 5-titled Douluo you promised? The Empire and I need them now. Schoolmaster Ning, I agree to your proposal. If the Heaven Do Empire falls, wealth and titles mean nothing. I will consult my ministers and devise a plan to recruit spirit masters across the country. Our Tiendo Imperial family, Clear Sky sect, and 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School are in this together, come what may. Both the Second Elder and Ning Fengji acknowledged the truth in the Emperor's closing words. The Imperial family, Clear Sky sect, and 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School were now tied together. They had to cooperate to survive. After that day, the creaky machinery of the Heaven Do Empire began to move. Faced with the Spirit Empire's threat and under pressure from Clear Sky and the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, Emperor Shuiye began requisitioning talents and resources from the great nobles to recruit spirit masters. The Spirit Empire's decrees, submit or be branded heretics, had driven many spirit masters into resistance, so recruitment did turn up a number of capable fighters. Some were drawn by revenge, others by the lure of pay or titles. Among those affected were Liu Erlong, Zhao Wuji, and others. Yu Shaogong had died. Liu Erlong buried his ashes in the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan. Flender had also died, leaving people like Zhao Wuji directionless. Soto City on the plains had become Spirit Empire territory. No one could simply return home. So when the Heaven Do Empire raised enlistments, men like Liu Erlong, Zhao Wuji, Li Yusong, and Lu Qibin joined, some for vengeance, some for retirement funds or a title. The Shrek 7 Devils were varied in their responses. Oscar and Ning Rongrong remained cultivating in the Imperial Palace. Ning Fengji wouldn't risk letting them go with so few left at the school. Ma Hongjin, whose sworn master Flender had died, had no grand aspirations and joined the army with other Shrek teachers. Dai Mubai, ever attached to hotels and nightlife, couldn't be pulled away. Juju King, from the Star Luo Empire, couldn't return home and instead secluded herself to cultivate, planning to wander the continent later. The Spirit Empire's sudden rise affected nearly everyone. Perhaps the only exception was Wang Li. Wang Li comforted his sect members, insisting that sect affairs would continue as usual. After discussion, Du Gubo, whose belief in further personal advancement had waned, stayed to look after the sect, while Wang Li and Du Guyan returned to the Ice and Fire Yin-Yang Well for secluded cultivation. Du Guyan aimed to reach soul power level 90 as soon as possible. Recent events had made her want greater strength. On their return, she immediately entered seclusion. Wang Li stood alone in the valley. A breeze ruffled his blue hair. He looked thoughtful. The Spirit Empire has appeared. Everything is following the script, aside from Tang San's absence. Although Bibi Dong has the greatest talent, the first to become a god should still be Qian Renshui. I should seize the time to raise my spirit power. Since becoming a titled Douluo, my cultivation pace has slowed to a crawl. To reach Super Douluo by ordinary means, who knows how many years that would take. He walked to the spring eye of the Ice and Fire Yin-Yang Well and plunged in. Cultivating in the spring eye was safest. When immersed in both Yang Spring and Cold Spring, experience was consumed rapidly and spirit power surged. He opened his panel and began to cultivate in earnest. As experience rushed in, his spirit power swelled and consolidated moment by moment. Compared to solitary training, this method multiplied his gains many times over. Remarkably, the increase didn't feel foreign. Wang Li could sense the new power circulating as his own, easy to control. After about 7 days, he broke through from soul power level 91 to 92. 7 days, from 91 to 92, would be hard to believe to other titled Douluo, but it was true. Days went by, and in about a month he rose to soul power level 95. The jump from 95 upward was a notorious bottleneck. Many stuck there. Bone Douluo Gurong, Thunder Douluo Yuanzhen, the Chrysanthemum and Ghost Douluo of Spirit Hall found it hard to push past 95. For Wang Li, though, there was no such block. He moved from 95 to 96 with relative ease. During that breakthrough, he truly perceived the qualitative change between 95 and 96, a continual compression and purification of spirit power until it became as pure as heaven and earth energy. Most natural energies have attributes, and simple compression can't achieve this purity. Purification required resonance with the spirit. That increasing purity after 95 is why higher titled Douluo becomes so formidable. Their spirit power approaches the character of heaven and earth energy, allowing them to draw on it in battle. Reaching soul power level 100 meant one's spirit power refined to the level of heaven and earth energy, touching certain rules and authorities. That's why the force of a god feels like a different realm. Understanding this, Wang Li became more attentive to the subtle changes in his spirit power, following fleeting inspirations. Another month passed. His spirit power reached soul power level 99. In just 2 months, he had gone from a newly promoted titled Douluo to a super Douluo, already the pinnacle for most spirit masters. But Wang Li pressed on. The circulation of his power continued, compressing, purifying, transforming. Then, in a flash, boom, his spirit power underwent a qualitative leap. He reached soul power level 100. It felt wrong to call it merely spirit power anymore. Although it wasn't true divine force in the strictest sense, its essence had attained a level comparable to divine force. The breakthrough had consumed 9 million experience points to go from 91 to 100, nearly 10 million of the more than 40 million he'd accumulated in the extreme Northland. He opened his eyes. A divine light shone in his blue pupils. Excitement touched his expression. My blue-silver spirit power, this blue-silver unique to me, has absolutely reached the level of life spirit power, perhaps even life divine force. If I wish, I could try to comprehend the great Tao of life in heaven and earth and become a divinity tied to life. But there is already a life goddess who holds that path. If I attempt to comprehend the great Tao of life, I would be noticed. Either she would die or she'd pass her god position to me. Otherwise, I can only become a divinity related to life, at best a first or second level god, but never a god king. That's inconvenient. To create my own god position, I must seek another path. With soul power level 100, if I hunted and absorbed a spirit beast spirit ring now, I could become a god, but it would likely be a mere god official, probably not even a third level god. I have no god position, no exclusive great Tao, rules, or authority. Forming a god ring artificially and then absorbing a spirit beast's ring would be self-defeating. When he had captured the dark demonic evil god tiger, he'd planned to study it. But during his rapid rise from 91 to 99 and then to 100, he had already grasped the key to becoming a god. He stretched, flexed his muscles and bones, and carefully felt the surging power inside. With soul power level 100, spirit force comparable to divine force, and with the added effects of all his 100,000-year spirit rings and 100,000-year spirit bones, he had the power to fight gods. Only a first-level god or a descending god king would pose a real threat. The crucial missing piece was a god ring. A god ring naturally condensed with an exclusive great Tao and authority was different from a god ring obtained later. Standing above the great Tao, rules and authority gives one the right to look down upon everything. Even if the gods in the Douluo world were relatively weak, gods still bound the great Tao, rules, and authority. Thanks to fellow reader XXXY for the 100 Qidian coin reward. 203. Super quasi-god Wang Li had no intention of going out. Since he couldn't condense his god ring yet, he would increase his strength by other means, by aging his spirit rings and tempering his spirit bones. He began with the spirit rings. Summoning his spirit, he focused on the 9th spirit ring and activated the enhancement. A faint moan echoed. The blood-red 9th spirit ring began to swell and contract, drawing in and refining energy from the void realm. Though it had originally been only a 100,000-year ring taken from the blue-silver emperor, its age climbed at a terrifying rate. Wang Li felt the ring's feedback tempering his body. His body was already immensely strong, so the effect wasn't dramatic at first. But after a day, the ring had reached 200,000 years, and he could clearly feel a noticeable increase in physical power. Keep going, he said to himself. I'll push it to divine rank. It might not be a god ring made from a god position, but the boost is real. 8 days later, Wang Li's face contorted in pain. The power surge from a ring approaching 1 million years was overwhelming. The process felt like being crushed and reconstructed. Then, abruptly, a heavy blow seemed to strike his entire body, and immediately a radiant divine light burst forth. His body had reached the level of a divine body. Around him, the rings glittered, 8 red rings and 1 golden ring. The golden ring dominated the red ones with a supreme majesty. Specks of blue light gathered inside that golden ring, and from them, Yin's figure emerged. She looked at her own body, astonished, her small mouth parting. "I've become a god," she whispered. Ever since she sacrificed herself to Wang Li, Yin had been sleeping as a soul in his 9th spirit ring. During the ring's enhancement, she had also gained benefits. What had once seemed insubstantial now felt solid and real. She knelt before him and called out with deep reverence, "My emperor!" Wang Li opened his eyes but showed no surprise at seeing her. "Return for now. Come out when I summon you." "Yes," she answered respectfully. Her figure dissolved and merged back into the golden 9th spirit ring. A veil of blue settled over it, turning it blue-gold. With the enhancement complete, the 9th spirit ring's 2 spirit arts had advanced into true divine arts. Blue-silver descent could now open a blue-silver world, sealing the heavens and locking the earth, isolating everything inside from the outside. A god pulled into it could be cut off from the great Tao, from the laws and authorities of the world. Without those, a god might only be able to fight at the level of a god officer. Blue-silver possession made Wang Li the god of that blue-silver world, giving him control over its Tao, laws, and authorities. Though the world could only last briefly, as long as an opponent could not break it, Wang Li could utterly crush even a god. In short, he now truly had the means to slay gods if they couldn't tear through the blue-silver world. Wang Li clenched his fist, a pleased smile on his face. 1 million-year ring has pushed my body to divine body levels. I've still got 8 rings left. If I raise them all to 1 million years, with just my body, I might be able to slay gods. Continue. He selected the 8th spirit ring and began its enhancement. The pain was extreme, but so was the gain. Every extra 100,000 years took about a day. The 8th ring, already close to 200,000 years, needed 8 days to reach the 1 million-year mark. When the red ring finally turned brilliant gold, his body surged again with power. Space around him twisted. The waters of the Yang Spring and Cold Spring could no longer approach him. His aura alone warped space and pushed the spring water back. One by one, he upgraded the rings. The 7th, 6th, 5th, all the way to the 1st. 9 spirit rings now circled him. Gold, 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 and the blue gold 9th. The weight of those rings alone would crush countless titled Douluo. Divine light shrouded Wang Li, making his form hard to see. An intense divine might radiated from him. His configuration surpassed that of many gods in the god realm. A casual movement could overturn seas and split mountains. A full-strength strike could rend heaven and earth and tear gods apart. Though he had not yet become a god, the 9 divine rank spirit rings had given him unfathomable power. Wang Li chuckled softly. The pain was worth it. This power is intoxicating. Don't stop. Next are the spirit bones. I've got 6. He began with the dream illusion flower demon skull bone. Activating it, he felt his spirit refreshed. As the mental skull bone aged, his mental force rose. Inside his mental space, his spiritual force swirled like a galaxy, compressing inward, collapsing inwards bit by bit. After about 9 days, the rotating galaxy became a storm, collapsing in a cataclysmic explosion. With a boom-like creation, a giant straightened, head touching the sky and feet on the ground, formed in the image of Wang Li, majestic as a god. Originally, he had planned to condense a 3rd soul core, but it seemed unnecessary. The giant was essentially a mental soul core. The 1st spirit power soul core rested in his lower dantian like a sphere. The 2nd vitality soul core sat in the middle dantian as a heart. The 3rd mental soul core formed in the upper dantian in the shape of himself. The giant's appearance turned his mental force into divine sense. His soul could now be called a divine soul. Wang Li's divine sense flowed clearly. His will was sharper than ever. He continued upgrading. The 10,000-year evergreen left arm bone, the blue-silver king right arm bone, the blue-silver emperor right leg bone, the purple jade heaven connecting ginseng torso bone, and the blue-silver emperor left leg bone. Nearly 2 months passed, but the results were enormous. His entire body now contained 6 divine rank spirit bones aged to 1 million years. "Haha," Wang Li said, spreading his arms. "A divine body, a divine soul, and divine force for my spirit power. I'm a quasi-god, with 9 divine rank spirit rings, 8 gold and 1 blue gold. It's not an exaggeration to call me a super quasi-god. He opened his eyes. The deep blue of his pupils seemed to hold a sea of stars. Calmly, with a faint smile, he added, if I create a god position and condense a divine rank spirit ring exclusive to it, I can truly become a god and unify all my power. Right now, it's still a bit scattered. Only the 9th turned blue-gold because of the blue-silver emperor. The others are gold. He was confident and unafraid. I still have 15 million experience. When I condense the 10th god ring, I'll push it straight to 10 million years. 10 years is white, 100 years is yellow, 1,000 years is purple, 10,000 years is black, 100,000 years is red, 1,000,000 years is gold. What color would 10 million years be? Feeling satisfied, he stepped out of the spring with his hands clasped behind his back. Even when he tried to suppress his aura, the world reacted. Inside the ice and fire yin-yang ring. Well, there had been some suppression, but leaving the spring removed that restraint. Wang Li's mere presence caused subtle shifts in the world. More importantly, the Douluo star, being a subordinate plane with an imprint in the God Realm core, triggered that core. The appearance of a divine rank powerhouse on the Douluo star sent a warning through the God Realm core. 5 figures appeared in the God Realm core, each shrouded in divine light so their forms could not be seen. Only their lights were visible: green, purple, white, black, and blood red. Their conversation echoed through the core. Congratulations. It seems our God Realm may gain another god, one voice intoned. I wonder if it's a god position inheritance or someone self-created. Is it a successor under any of you? None under me match, another replied. We're all the same, came other replies. The 5 god kings checked their rosters and found no match. This was intriguing. From the blood-red light stepped a god in armor, blood-red hair, blood-red eyes, a handsome but icy face. Dark red armor bore demonic patterns. A killing aura and scent of blood made the very air oppressive. He was the Asura god king. Using Asura divine force, he probed the Douluo star's imprint in the God Realm core and obtained more detail, but his eyes furrowed. Very strange, he said. It is the power of the God Realm, but no laws resonate with it. Not a god, yet godlike power. This is odd. The Douluo star is important. We need an investigation. He fell silent a moment, then spoke with measured resolve. I have a successor on the Douluo star. I'll modify the content of the god trial and instruct him to investigate. Within the purple light, the god of destruction snapped. Asura, you're trying to cheat. How can you change the god trial's content at will? Are you trying to help your successor inherit the Asura position faster? The Asura god king's reply was cool and composed. I, Asura, am the law enforcement god. I won't break the rules knowingly. Given the importance of the Douluo star, I want my successor to investigate first. This matter is dangerous. It's not an easy task. He argued with a skillful appeal to duty. The god of evil, in the black light, warned him, don't overstep. The god realm cannot interfere with the lower realm. During the investigation, you mustn't give your successor too much help. Asura answered evenly, understood. With evil's caution, destruction fell silent. The gods of kindness and life neither supported nor opposed, which was effectively tacit consent. At the same time in Slaughter City, a land of depravity where the sky was gray and the earth blood-red, the Slaughter King sensed a sudden, terrifying will to slaughter. He grew alert and fearful. The will condensed into a sword light that cut the air. The Slaughter King toppled, then stood up again transformed. A tall, handsome, middle-aged man with black hair and black eyes, majestic and clear-headed. He swayed, then stiffened as a mechanical voice filled his mind, the voice that always spoke when an Asura God trial was issued. Asura God trial, ninth trial, investigate the changes on the Douluo Continent. Find a God realm powerhouse who is not a god and discover his identity and origin. Time limit, 10 years. Your body has been eroded. Asura Divine Force can protect you for 10 years. Each fight will consume Asura Divine Force and shorten your remaining time. Success. You may inherit the Asura God position. Failure. Obliteration. Death of body and soul. Question. What color would a 10 million year spirit ring be? Thanks to book friend 651974 for the 588 reading points tip and to Zoom for the 100 book coin tip. 214. Conquer the Dark Demon. Tiger Wang Li discovered the problem immediately. The energy of heaven and earth swirled around him. No matter how he tried to hide his aura, it refused to settle. After a moment's thought, he understood why. He himself was an energy body containing vast power. Every motion he made stirred the world's energies. That amplified his fighting strength, but it also made him impossible to fully conceal. Any spirit master with strong mental force could sense him. Still, it wasn't all bad. He no longer needed to hide constantly. Looking out across the continent, he felt certain there was no one who could threaten him. With that settled, he didn't linger. A sweep of divine sense showed Duguyan deep in cultivation. He left her undisturbed, stepped out of the valley, and approached the statue-like dark demonic evil god tiger that had been sealed there. The tiger embodied 6 attributes: evil, time, space, wind, lightning, and power. Wang Li wasn't interested in cultivating the path of evil, but the time and space aspects intrigued him. He wanted to experience them and learn their nature. He placed his left hand on the tiger and released spirit power to unseal it. The energy crystals that made up its statue-like form began to melt. Flesh and blood reformed. With a roar, the dark demonic evil god tiger came to life, glaring at Wang Li with furious indignation. Its mind was still stuck on the memory of when Wang Li had slid over and struck it before sealing it away. Wang Li, seeing its fangs bared, lightly slapped it. The force sent the tiger tumbling out of the valley and into the forest, where its massive body crashed through countless trees. When it stumbled to its feet, it was bewildered and aching, unsure what had just happened. Wang Li's slap had left a deep psychological mark. Wang Li was already moving again, chasing it. The tiger shivered. This man was ferocious, not someone to trifle with. Enduring the pain, the barbs along its segmented tail shot out. Dense gray light coalesced, spinning faster and faster until it formed a black hole-like vortex with terrifying suction. A protective shield condensed over its body, and shielded, the tiger seemed unaffected by the suction. Rather than surprise him, this pleased Wang Li. He circulated his spirit power and watched, but he didn't attack at once. Under the sweep of his divine sense, he confirmed that the vortex's suction was indeed fierce, but it had no effect on him. This was the tiger's ultimate, the life and death arena, a technique that integrated time and space power. It could pull enemies into another dimension and revert them to their weakest, juvenile state. Powerful in concept, it depended entirely on the wielder's strength. The dark demonic evil god tiger was too weak. Even with time and space power, it couldn't pull Wang Li in. Satisfied, Wang Li reached out and probed into the 3-meter-wide black hole to study the time and space force behind it. The tiger, enraged and insulted, cranked the vortex up to full power. Sand and stones flew, trees snapped, and branches and leaves were torn into the air. But Wang Li stood in front of it, unmoved. The strain grew too great. The vortex suddenly exploded with a bang. Wild winds scattered, powerful chi swept the area, and the surroundings were thrown into chaos. Wang Li felt slightly disappointed. Though the tiger was weak, the time and space power contained mysteries he would like to understand. Any comprehension he could salvage might be useful later. Frightened and humiliated at its ultimate move's failure, the tiger only wanted to flee. It tried a sly ploy instead of direct flight. It stabbed with the tail barbs, hoping to force Wang Li back and escape. Wang Li's bare hands caught the tail. The corrosive power on the barbs seemed not to affect him at all. With a small effort, he lifted the tiger into the air, spun it, and then casually threw it. The dark, demonic, evil god tiger crashed to the ground, rolling 7 or 8 times as if its body were breaking apart. Wang Li leaped after it, grabbed its neck with one hand and its collar with the other. With a little more force, he could have torn its head off. Then he finally spoke. "Dark, demonic, evil god tiger, I need your help with cultivation. Every day, you will use that black hole vortex on me once. If you agree, you live. If you refuse, I'll kill you and take your core." The tiger, having just felt Wang Li's power, was terrified but defiant. It began to roar, proclaiming that Lord Dark, demonic, evil god tiger would never be anyone's slave. Then it saw something that seared itself into its memory. Wang Li summoned his spirit, and spirit rings formed one after another. Gold, 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 until the last ring shimmered blue gold. A crushing pressure poured onto the tiger. Its eyes rolled back, its head bowed to the ground, its tongue lolled out. The fierce giant had been reduced to a frightened cat. Seeing it like that, Wang Li released his grip. He reached to his brow, formed a finger into a sword, and drew a wisp of divine sense. The golden, flowing divine sense entered the tiger's mind. Wang Li didn't trust the tiger's cunning. He feared it might betray him later. With that wisp inside the tiger, and with the dream skull's power, he could inspect its memories and sense its thoughts. He couldn't fully control it, but nothing in its mind would be hidden from him. Confident in the tiger's submission, Wang Li began to heal it. He placed his right hand on its head and released the power of growth. Shock crossed the tiger's eyes as its wounds closed and its bones, muscles, and organs strengthened. Under his control, growth spread like spring across the land. Hundreds of meters of barren ground burst into life. Vines, saplings, and undergrowth sprouted, transforming the wasteland into a dense jungle in the blink of an eye. When he withdrew his spirit, the 9 spirit rings vanished. Wang Li flipped onto the tiger's back and said, "Stop playing dead. Let's go back to the valley." The tiger gave a low growl, lacking its old menace, more an obedient acknowledgement. It rose, its paws dug into the earth, the segmented tail with bladed barbs raised, and its black wings, symbols of corruption, beat to stir a storm. With the speed of the wind, it rose into the sky and returned to the valley. Wang Li watched the majestic beast with satisfaction. He thought to himself, "Keep cultivating in seclusion. I only lack the god position now. Growth, I need to think carefully. Growth isn't limited to plants. My blue-silver emperor spirit has ultimate growth attributes, but in this world, life includes animals, birds, beasts, fish, insects. That's a vast range. If I want to take a different path, I must break free of conventional limits and expand my imagination." Now to Tang Chen. The Asura God King had intervened, destroying the 9-headed bloody crimson bat king that had occupied him and leaving a wisp of Asura divine force in his body. For years, the 9-headed bat had possessed him, and the Bloody Mary, whatever toxin he'd taken, had corroded him until he was near collapse. The remnant of Asura force could protect him only for a while. If he failed the Asura god's 9th trial, he would die. Tang Chen wanted no more of being the Slaughter King. As the Asura god's inheritor, he could leave whenever he wished. Stepping into the outside world, he looked at the mountain ranges and dense forests and felt the sun's warmth on his skin. He murmured emotionally, "The 9-headed bat occupied my body for so long. I wonder what's become of the continent and of my clear sky sect. This 9th trial is to find a god-level powerhouse who is not a divinity. Strange, how does one reach god level without becoming a divinity? If the god trial says so, it must be true. Maybe I'll need the sect's support. With the clear sky sect's influence, it shouldn't be hard. Poseidon, I'm about to become a divinity. Wait for me. I'll come find you soon." Years ago, his wife had died. Dauluo's wife had also died. Both had met Poseidon on Sea God Island and fallen in love anew. Both had promised to win her heart by becoming divinities. Tang Chen remembered that promise and vowed not to visit Sea God Island until he became a divinity. Now he planned to surprise Poseidon the moment he achieved that rank. First, though, he needed information. He headed for the nearest city to ask about the state of the world. He picked a direction and flew. Anxi City, a significant city in the Douluo Empire, shocked him when he learned the news. Spirit Hall had become the Spirit Empire. His Clear Sky sect, which had been in seclusion for over a decade, was now serving the Tiando imperial family. Worse, his most promising grandson, Tang Hao, had been killed by Spirit Hall, and his body still hung from the city gate. Tang Chen's rage flared. He didn't yet know the whole chain of events, but it was enough. "Douluo, old bastard, have you forgotten the Clear Sky Hammer?" he snarled and headed straight for Spirit City. Time was short, but he couldn't let this anger go unspent. A day later, above Spirit City, Tang Chen's explosive roar echoed across the metropolis. "Douluo, old bastard, get out here!" The voice rolled through the streets, deafening in its intensity. Every spirit master in the city changed expression. The name Douluo carried weight. He had been the previous elder of the Elder Palace, a 99th level super Douluo, the rock beneath Spirit Hall's dominance of the continent. To call him by name and call him an old bastard was audacious and hostile. Titled Douluo of the Spirit Hall, Bibi Dong, Yue Guan, Gui Mei, demonic bear, ghost leopard, snake lance, and porcupine fish rose up and streaked toward the sound, light trails like long rainbows across the sky. In the Hall of Elders, Qian Daoliu heard the outburst and his face turned grim and shocked. Tang Chen is back, missing for decades, and he returns cursing me. Looks like a fight is coming. The other 6 elders, Golden Crocodile, Lion, Azure Luan, Guang Ling, Thousand Jin, and Demon Subduer, assembled. Golden Crocodile's eyes flashed cold. High Priest, he shows no mercy. We should strike him down now. Let's see who dares to speak to the High Priest that way. Qian Daoliu shook his head. Calm. The Supreme Pontiff has already left with others. Let's observe before acting. Meanwhile, Bibi Dong and the 6 titled Douluo arrived at Tang Chen's altitude. Expressions tightened across the group. When Bibi Dong saw the dark red demonic sword mark on Tang Chen's forehead, unease pricked at her. He was the Asura god's inheritor. There were 2 gods of evil, the Asura god and the Rakshasa god. One controlled killing energy, the other extreme malice. As opposing divinities, an Asura inheritor could brutally destroy a Rakshasa inheritor if he knew her true identity. Bibi Dong concealed her aura completely. Fortunately, having twin spirits and years of practice meant she could keep her second spirit hidden. She dared not reveal anything. Beside her, Yue Guan, Gui Mei, demonic bear, ghost leopard, snake lance, and porcupine fish all paled. Even as titled Douluo, they remembered Tang Chen's fearsome reputation from their youth. Bibi Dong felt a flush of humility and forced herself to speak politely. Your Excellency, may I ask what brings you here? Tang Chen's face was cold as iron. His gaze swept over the gathered Douluo without a flicker of emotion. They were all titled Douluo, nothing but ants beneath his hammer. Finally, his eyes fixed on Bibi Dong. Her beauty was striking, but since his wife had died, his heart held only Poseidon. From her luxurious gown and majestic crown, he guessed her identity, the former Supreme Pontiff of Spirit Hall and current Empress of the Spirit Empire. Noble as she was, Tang Chen did not once bow his head. I'm here for Qian Daoliu, he said flatly. Step aside. Such arrogance. Bibi Dong could not afford to show weakness now. If she yielded to Tang Chen, her authority would unravel. She lifted her chin and replied firmly, Your Excellency, I am Bibi Dong, Empress of the Spirit Empire. If you have business, speak with me. High Priest Qian Daoliu retired years ago and is in secluded cultivation. He does not deal with worldly matters. Not concerning himself with worldly matters in secluded cultivation. Tang Chen sneered. He stared at her. Is he afraid to meet me? Since you speak for him, then I'll settle a blood debt with you, forcing my Clear Sky sect into seclusion, killing my grandson Tang Hao, and even hanging his corpse from the city gate. That kind of hatred can only be repaid with blood. He raised his hands. On his left hand, a blade of blood glow condensed into a 2-meter-long greatsword. On his right hand burst a dark golden Clear Sky hammer, its surface braided with demonic patterns. 9 spirit rings, 2 yellow, 2 purple, 4 black, and 1 red, shimmered into being. The aura of a level 99 Super Douluo pressed down on the city like a storm. Bloodlight pooled around him as he moved. A streak of red tore across the sky. The bloodlight washed over the faces of Bibi Dong and her aides, Yu Guan, Gui Mei, Demon Bear, Ghost Leopard, Snake Lance, and Porcupine Fish, chilling them to the bone. Yu Guan and Gui Mei reacted instantly, summoning their spirits and attempting their Wuhan fusion. They roared, Protect the Empress! Full power! Demon Bear, Ghost Leopard, Snake Lance, and Porcupine Fish snapped to attention, unleashing their martial soul true bodies and calling upon their most powerful 9th spirit abilities. Tang Chen did not flinch. A cold light shone in his eyes. God-bestowed domain. Slaughter domain. A sweep of bloodlight rolled out, and where it passed, the opponent's spirit abilities cut off like a snapped string. The slaughter domain was a domain of killing intent, the inheritance of the Asura gods line, governing slaughter, judgment, and order. In its presence, spirit abilities could not be used. For spirit masters on the Douluo Continent, losing those abilities was crippling. Tang Chen swung the Asura demon sword. Snake Lance's spirit and body were cleaved in 2. The halves plummeted from the sky. He then slammed the Clear Sky hammer. Porcupine Fish detonated into chunks of flesh and blood that rained down over Spirit City. 2 titled Douluo died in an instant, split, exploded, gone, without a single scream. Demon Bear and Ghost Leopard froze, terror-struck. Their spirit powers were blocked. To press forward was certain death, and retreat the only sensible choice. Polarity Static Domain. Yueguan and Gui Mei's Wuhan fusion still managed to bind Tang Chen, if only for a heartbeat, the moment Snake Lance and Porcupine Fish had bought. Their 9 spirit rings braided together, energy wrapping Tang Chen. Immobilized, he nevertheless remained calm. Then his spirit power flared. The slaughter domain trembled and shattered. The backlash threw Yueguan and Gui Mei, blood erupting from their mouths like they'd been struck by a giant hammer. Their visions swam. Their bodies went weak. Bibi Dong completed her spirit possession in that instant. Her upper body bristled with purplish-black carapace. Even her face, 2 extra pairs of eyes had opened beneath her own, giving her 3 pairs of eyes in total. From the waist down, her body had become a massive, green-haired, mucus-slick mass with 8 colossal spider legs exuding a rank stench. 9 spirit rings, the same arrangement as Tang Chen's, hovered around her, but she felt the power gap like a chasm. The Slaughter God domain let her attempt to use spirit abilities, but Tang Chen's Slaughter domain suppressed it. She switched to her innate Death domain and pushed back with purplish-black light. It helped, but not enough. As a domineering domain, the Death domain was powerful, but it was significantly weakened under Tang Chen's Slaughter light. "So you're one who passed the Hell Road," Tang Chen observed. "No wonder your aura felt familiar. Use your Slaughter God domain. My Slaughter domain is the strongest in Slaughter City, a true God-bestowed domain. You're young for a level 99, but you're lucky I'm in a merciful mood. I'll spare your life, but I won't hold back." Bibi Dong's fury flared, but she had no choice. Her Slaughter God domain would be more heavily suppressed than her Death domain. The inheritance from the Rakshasa god had already knocked her level 99 power down to an effective 98. She dared not use her second spirit. Tang Chen's sudden return had ruined her calculations. 2 titled Douluo lay dead. If she failed now, her rule would collapse. She vowed bitterly that she would finish attaching spirit rings to her second spirit and complete the Rakshasa god's trial as soon as possible. Perhaps only true godhood could reverse her losses. She let out a soft cry. Her arms swelled and transformed into 2 immense black scythes, the left and right arm bones of a 100,000-year Death Spider Emperor, a rare pair of spirit bones. Wielded together, their force doubled. "Your Excellency," she said coldly, forcing her voice calm. "Tang Hao's death was his own doing. He colluded with spirit beasts, killed my teacher, and then sought revenge, wantonly slaughtering the innocent. Thousands of Spirit Hall's masters died at his hands. You killed 2 elders of my spirit empire. If I don't uphold justice for them today, how can I remain empress?" She had to step forward, or her subordinates' morale would crumble. Tang Chen was silent for a moment, then answered, "I haven't been out for decades. I don't know everything Howard did. I only know he was my proud grandson, and he died at your hands. I'm here to get justice for him." He attacked again, hammer sweeping. Bibi Dong parried with her black scythes and felt them creak. The force was not just raw strength. It had a tenacious, grinding quality. Tang Chen's mastery of the Clear Sky Sect's techniques was peerless, and that mastery, coupled with his hatred for what had been done to his family and his connection to the Asura inheritance, made him unstoppable on the land. Bibi Dong was steadily pressed back. Blood and chi vibrated through her, and hairline cracks spidered across the surface of the 100,000-year spirit bones. Tang Chen's clear sky hammer seemed to stick and pull, never letting her disengage. If it continued, those priceless spirit bones would be shattered. Desperation turned her ruthless. She activated the bone's second skill, shattering her own scythes into a violent explosion that rolled air and energy outward. The blast separated the twin scythes from her arms, but left her bleeding and temporarily unable to fight with those limbs. Tang Chen took no harm, but Bibi Dong lay wounded. She tasted humiliation and realization. Without her full strength, she could not match Tang Chen. She forced herself to speak. "Please, High Priest, appear and uphold justice for these 2 deceased elders." From the direction of the Douluo Hall, the angel statue erupted with blinding golden light. Within that radiance, Qian Daoliu descended, 3 pairs of wings unfurled behind him, 9 spirit rings circling, 8 black and 1 red, an imposing and terrible array. He rose to block Tang Chen's path. Where Tang Chen's presence had been a dark, blood-soaked sun, Qian Daoliu himself gleamed like a warm, bright star, restoring hope to the terrified spirit masters below. They looked up with faces full of reverence. Qian Daoliu's eyes flicked to the demonic red sword mark on Tang Chen's forehead, and his expression clouded with mixed emotion. "Tang Chen," he said, "long time no see. It seems you have found a god position's inheritance in these decades. Poseidon made her choice long ago." Tang Chen no longer focused on Bibi Dong. He listened, then nodded. "I didn't understand back then. But when I found the Asura inheritance and learned its rules, I realized that people like you, like her, cannot truly become gods. Still, I made a promise. I will not return until I become a god. If I cannot, what face would I have to show? I wasted decades, but I'm close to my goal now." He continued, voice hard as a knife. "This time I didn't come to her. I came to you. Your spirit hall has gone too far." Qian Daoliu's brow tightened. If Tang Chen ascended to godhood, Spirit Hall would be on his list of enemies. His granddaughter was also seeking godhood, but it would be years before she could genuinely challenge Tang Chen. He spoke in a deep, controlled voice. "It was your grandson Tang Hao who got entangled with a 100,000-year transformed spirit beast. Spirit beasts are still spirit beasts. That itself violates human ethics. He gravely injured my son. My son died because of it. I pursued him but restrained myself. I did not wipe you out completely, which should be considered holding to my promise." He turned and addressed the gathered crowd with righteous fervor. "Bibi Dong is right in one thing. Tang Hao massacred the innocent. Thousands of Spirit Hall's masters, elders and young instructors alike, who were awakening spirits for commoners, were slaughtered. Your grandson showed no mercy. He deserves death. He killed my son, and my granddaughter killed him. What is wrong with that? You demand justice? Fine, I will accept it." Qian Daoliu's accusations tumbled on. Tang Hao had attacked rising stars across the continent, Wang Li among them, a 21 or 22-year-old titled Douluo and a rising star. Tang Hao had tried to capture him and been severely wounded. Qian Daoliu's words painted Tang Hao as shameless and ignorant, unworthy of the name Clear Sky Douluo. Tang Chen listened, feeling some confusion at the litany of claims. Was his grandson really so monstrous? Even if Tang Hao had done terrible things, he was still his grandson, and he would stand for him. Names like Wang Li were not enough to sway him. A single titled Douluo was nothing to fear. He had other business, to complete the Asura god's 9th trial and to find someone who, while not a god, bore godlike power. He had also come because he was furious and felt Spirit Hall might hide answers he needed, a conspiracy behind the Spirit Empire, perhaps someone using faith to seek godhood. It might be tied to his own trials. He squared his shoulders and said, cold and resolute, "Tang Hao is my grandson. I will discipline him myself. No one else has that right. Qian Daoliu, let us fight like we did decades ago." Tang Chen's 9 spirit rings, 2 yellow, 2 purple, 4 black, 1 red, mirrored the configuration associated with Tang Hao, who had yet to complete the 9th trial. Qian Daoliu's 9 rings, 8 black and 1 red, reflected his connection to Poseidon. Bibi Dong's spirit ring configuration had been recorded variously in different accounts, sometimes 2 yellow and 2 purple, sometimes 1 yellow, 2 purple, and 1 black. Here she stood with a more typical arrangement. The air crackled as 2 ancient rivals prepared once more to settle an old grievance. Qian Daoliu's expression grew cold. He folded his hands slowly and said, "Tang Chen, if you insist on this stubbornness, then we'll settle it in a duel. Let's see how much you've improved over these decades." Tang Chen stood with the Asura sword in his left hand and the Haoqian hammer in his right. Qian Daoliu did not dare show contempt. He bowed his head reverently and intoned, "Angel Holy Sword, I request your aid." With a clear, ringing cry, the Angel Holy Sword that had been embedded before the angel statue shot up into the sky and returned to Qian Daoliu. As a servant of God, he could not wield divine artifacts at will, but he could call upon them in battle. He gripped the weapon with devout solemnity. Behind him, a colossal 6-winged angel manifested, its divine light radiating sacral warmth that dispelled the surrounding blood-red aura. The sight filled people with awe. Under the angel's blessing, Qian Daoliu would be nearly invincible. Bibidong lowered her head, concealing the malice in her eyes. That bright, holy aura made her sick. The angel lineage was her target. She muttered through clenched teeth, "Sooner or later, I will destroy all of this." Tang Chen, facing Chandali, remained unshaken. He had long known servants of God could borrow divine power. He also knew Chandali was only a servant, not the angel god himself, and bore no connection to the deity he sought. Disappointed but angry, Tang Chen plunged the Asura sword through the air. The suppressed blood-red light surged back under the Asura sword's blessing, but he wanted more. He poured all his spirit into the demon sword mark on his forehead. The dark red sigil pulsed as if it would bleed. He whispered in a voice like a demon god, "Slaughter domain! Slaughter hell!" A roar of crimson light rent the angelic brilliance, drowning the world again in a cold, tyrannical red. Qian Daoliu could borrow the angel's power, but Tang Chen was a true successor of God. He had passed the first 8 trials of the Asura god and had an affinity over 80%. His god-bestowed slaughter domain could take on Asura characteristics. The Asura domain was feared because the Asura god held the power to judge deities. Tang Chen's application of Asura power into his slaughter domain made it devastating. Metal rang against metal. Hellish chains flashed out from the blood-red glare. Chandaliu stared in disbelief as the chains wrapped around the 6-winged angel, winding from head to wing, binding it tight. The holy light was suppressed. Even the deity was dragged into the abyss. Chandaliu's eyes reddened with fury. "Tang Chen, how dare you blaspheme a deity?" He hurled himself forward, angel holy sword poised to kill. Tang Chen sneered and met him head-on, hammer in one hand, Asura sword in the other. Blood-red and golden light streaked across the sky, their movements too fast to follow. Each clash shook clouds and sent air currents roaring. The 6 enshrined elders appeared together, prepared to aid Chandaliu, but Tang Chen's slaughter domain suppressed them like a single crushing weapon. Without a domain of their own, even Super Douluo in the upper 90s could only be a hindrance on such a battlefield. From outside it was plain to see. Qian Daoliu was formidable. Sky King Martial Soul, 6-winged angel, his swordplay flexible and fierce. Wielding the angel holy sword, he was among the strongest sword gods. Yet Tang Chen was no weakling. His mastery of the Haoqian hammer coupled with the Asura demon sword rivaled, even surpassed, the angel holy sword. Under the slaughter domain's enhancement, Tang Chen's speed and power rose. Slowly, painfully, he gained the upper hand. By the end of the exchange, the angel had its wings broken, spitting blood, cast down on its supposed stronghold. "Great enshrined elder!" The 6 enshrined elders sped forward to catch Qian Daoliu as he fell. He clutched the angel holy sword, humiliated and unwilling to accept defeat. Tang Chen hovered above the clouds, looking down at the fallen Qian Daoliu and the elders. There was a flash of killing intent in his eyes, but he restrained it. To kill now, he would have to use ring detonation and unleash the great Sumeru hammer at full force, and that was a last resort move that would devastate his own body. Ring detonation injures the user first to harm others. You must be able to withstand the backlash. Tang Chen could not. The Asura divine power that had assisted him cost him years of life. During the clash, he had already sacrificed 3 or 4 years. Where the Asura power could normally extend his life by 10 years, his recent expenditures left him with perhaps 6 or 7 years to complete the 9th trial. Use ring detonation now, and he would die himself. He withdrew the Haoqian hammer and the Asura sword and said coldly, "Qian Daoliu, I won't kill you today. But from now on, wherever my Haoqian sect goes, your spirit hall must keep its distance. Cross that boundary, and I will show no mercy." He turned, took Tang Hao's body, preserved specially so it wouldn't rot, and sorrowful descended. "Hauer, I came back too late. If I'd come sooner, you wouldn't have ended like this. I'll take you home. Blood must be repaid with blood. I'm not a true Asura god yet, otherwise I would have made the angel lineage pay today." Cradling the corpse, he became a streak of blood-red light and flew north. As Tang Chen left, the blood-red light faded. The angel's holy light returned, but it no longer felt warm. Qian Daoliu looked decades older. He was a level 99 peerless title Douluo. His injuries were not fatal, and he could fight again, but his spirit was crushed. He was only a servant of God, not a successor, unable to fully wield the angel god's power, and that failure shamed the deity. Tang Chen. The hatred in him was like a grinding stone. He could not strike Tang Chen down himself, but he had a granddaughter. Hope stirred again. He turned to Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong, Tang Chen is now in existence, even I cannot handle. He is a successor of God and can use some of that power. Whatever your aims, unifying the continent or otherwise, you cannot ignore him. I entrust the aftermath to you. Serpent Spear Elder, Puffer Fish Elder, see that they are properly buried. Taking the remaining 6 enshrined elders with him, Douluo retreated to the Douluo Hall, wholly focused now on training his granddaughter into a god. Bibi Dong retracted her martial soul. Many times she disliked appearing with it. It warped her image. Today Tang Chen alone had suppressed the entire martial soul empire and cost them 2 title Douluo. Their prestige and morale were shattered. Bibi Dong felt the clock ticking. With a successor of the Asura god showing up, she could not afford to lag. At once she summoned Demon Bear and Ghost Leopard, tended the gravelly wounded Yue Guan and Gui Mei, gathered the remains and relics of Serpent Spear and Pufferfish, and tried to calm the frightened Spirit Hall soulmasters in the city. The blow had demonstrated how vulnerable the martial soul empire could be. Recovery would be long. She returned to the Pope's palace, blood on her clothes from the fight. Calling in Hu Liena, she said, "Nana, you saw today. Tang Chen is powerful. I will need to recover and go into seclusion to cultivate. If I don't grow stronger, this humiliation will repeat. You are my appointed saintess and sole heir to the Empress title. From now on, you will represent me, consult with the elders, and manage the martial soul empire's affairs. Don't bother me with trivial matters." Hu Liena, who had been reluctant at first, bowed at the sight of Bibi Dong's wounds and said with firm resolve, "Teacher, I will not fail you. I won't disturb you with unimportant things." Bibi Dong let out a small, relieved smile. Today had been disastrous, but her disciple had not disappointed her. She decided to attach the 8th and 9th soul rings to her 2nd martial soul immediately. She had always wanted 100,000-year soul beasts, but time had run out, so she would use 2 Spider Kings over 50,000 years old instead. The biggest problem with her Rakshasa inheritance had been the lack of a guide to the way of godhood. Unlike the angel god or sea god, her Rakshasa line had no such benefactor. That had stalled her ascension for over 20 years. Now, she would open the path herself by means of a great blood sacrifice. A feral light sparked in her eyes. 7 great sects, she thought. Your roles have arrived. Tang Chen flew with Tang Hao's body to Heavendo City and broke into the imperial palace. Enshrined elders, guest elders, and Haoqian sect and 7 treasure glazed tile school soulmasters swarmed the walls and surrounded him. He turned, scanned the crowd, and fixed his gaze on the 2nd elder of the Haoqian sect. "Xiao Yi," Tang Chen said, "take the Haoqian sect disciples and return to the mountain with me. You all were willing to be the imperial family's lackeys because of the Spirit Hall's threat. That is a disgrace to the Haoqian sect. I went to Spirit Hall City, killed 2 title Douluo, and beat Douluo. From now on, the Spirit Hall will not dare offend the Haoqian sect. I brought Hauer home. How could you be so weak? Haoqian sect disciples were slain and their bodies desecrated, and you took so long to retaliate." Tang Chen's voice was full of frustration and disappointment. Tang Yi, Xiao Yi, the 2nd elder, felt struck dumb. Tears and laughter choked him as he finally managed, with trembling joy, "Ancestor Tang Chen, you're back. I will take all the disciples back to the mountain at once." Chen Xin, Gu Rong, and Ning Fengji, still reeling from the revelation that Tang Chen had returned after decades, found their shock wavering into dismay. The Haoqian sect's departure left them isolated. How could they possibly stand against the martial soul empire alone? Tang Chen's return, it seemed, had only made their situation worse. Word of this reached Emperor Shui Ye. He had thought himself to have treated the Haoqian sect well. Now they were abandoning the court. Rage seized him. He staggered back, his already frail health succumbing to the shock. Those nearby rushed forward and realized with horror that he had stopped breathing. Emperor Shuiye was dead. 207. Hao Tian sect takes the initiative to find trouble. In the Heavendu Empire, Emperor Shuiye had died, and Shui Beng had swiftly taken the throne. Given the empire's precarious state, threats inside and out, The succession was completed faster than anyone expected. No one wanted upheaval while the Spirit Empire still posed a danger. And as for who was to blame for the chaos, no one dared speak ill of the Clear Sky sect now. With a Super Douluo in their ranks, the balance of power had shifted. Inside the Clear Sky sect, the mood was festive, almost like New Year. Tang Chen had returned. He was displeased that the once mighty sect had dwindled to only a few direct disciples and had been sealed off for over a decade, but he held no great resentment. After all, he himself had been trapped as the Slaughter King in Slaughter City for decades. Now that he was back, everything would have to be rebuilt from scratch. As chief elder, he reinstated Tang Hao's lineage and laid him to rest in the Clear Sky sect's ancestral cemetery, then convened a clan meeting. Tang Xiao remained sect master, while Tang Chen attended as chief elder. At the meeting, Tang Chen explained his intentions. "For decades, I did not vanish without reason," he began. "I discovered the inheritance ground of a divinity and, due to circumstances, was trapped within it. I only recently escaped. I have already passed the Asura 8 trials and become a demigod, but I still face the final trial of the divine examination. If I pass, I will truly become a god. For that final trial, I intended to leverage the sect's influence. But the current state of our sect disappoints me. The Clear Sky sect must rise again, recruit disciples, expand, and rebuild our strength. Even if we cannot fully restore our former glory, we must at least grow to a respectable scale. Investigate for me which peak powerhouses have emerged on the continent in the past decades, and whether any existences comparable to divinities have appeared. Any questions?" From Tang Xiao down through the other elders, there was not a single objection. They had long wanted the sect to re-emerge, but had been forced into seclusion by the threat of Spirit Hall. If Tang Chen could become a god, the Clear Sky sect would be unassailable across the Douluo Continent. "No problem. We will obey our ancestors' command," they answered in unison. Tang Chen nodded, then added with a more solemn tone, "My inheritance was not smooth. Though I passed the Asura 8 trials and became a demigod, my body was once corroded by poison and cannot endure frequent intense combat. Now is not the time to attack Spirit Hall. Once I truly become a god, Spirit Hall will pay dearly." Tang Xiao and the elders understood. They were perhaps even more eager for action than Tang Chen himself. Tang Xiao rose and said, "Ancestor, please take care of your health. The question of the Clear Sky sect's resurgence will be left to us. We will not disappoint you." Tang Chen smiled and nodded. "Very good. Act boldly. I will support you in all things. Within a few years, we must expand, and if necessary, we will turn the continent over to learn whether any godlike powers have emerged. This matter is crucial to me." With those instructions, Tang Xiao and the elders set to work. Tang Chen withdrew to the mountain peak to recuperate, extending his life and preserving his strength. Staring out over the rolling sea of clouds, he seemed to see ripples of blue water. Softly to himself, he murmured, "Poseidon, wait a few more years. Once I become a god, I will come for you. I won't return until I am a god. Blame me for not seeing your choice before, but I, Tang Chen, will keep my word." After a period of concentrated preparation, the Clear Sky sect officially reopened its gates to the world. The lineup was impressive. Tang Xiao, sect master, was a level 96 Super Douluo. 5 other elders were all titled Douluo, and Chief Elder Tang Chen was a level 99 Super Douluo. With that roster, the Clear Sky sect's prestige returned almost overnight. Although personnel were few, the sect's momentum made it seem to once again occupy the head of the upper 3 sects. But half a year after the reopening, a strange and terrible incident occurred. Overnight, the 7 great sects of the continent vanished. Rumors said the Spirit Empire had summoned them, and then, after mobilizing, they had disappeared. The Spirit Empire denied any wrongdoing, though few believed it. In truth, at Bibi Dong's command, tens of thousands of spirit masters from those 7 sects were assembled in the Maze Grand Canyon, a dangerous spirit beast forest used only for training elites or exiling criminals. Once they had all gathered, Bibi Dong slaughtered them. From Spirit Douluo down to Spirit Grandmaster, tens of thousands were sacrificed. Their resentment, hatred, and fear fed the Rakshasa god's evil power. Bibi Dong had not originally intended such a massacre, but Tang Chen's reappearance and his identity as the Asura god's inheritor forced her into that desperate measure. Afterwards, she entered seclusion. Hulina now handled day-to-day affairs inside the Spirit Empire, consulting with the Elder Palace on major decisions. Back at the Clear Sky sect, half a year of activity drew many spirit masters to join, though their quality was mixed. Some were talented, but most were mediocre. One day, Tang Xiao and the elders convened again. Tang Yi, second elder and head of the elders, reported, "Sect Master, we now have 500 inner disciples and 1,000 outer disciples. Our inner disciples are all direct Clear Sky disciples. Their combat strength is reliable. The outer disciples, however, are mostly useless. We must act for our ancestor and accelerate expansion. Annexation is the fastest way to grow. The 7 great sects chosen by the Spirit Empire have disappeared, likely the result of the Spirit Empire's machinations. If we are to annex forces, the 4 single attribute clans that once split from our sect are the best targets, and the 4 element academies can also be taken. Should I lead the operation, or would the sect master go personally? We need to decide quickly." Tang Xiao considered carefully. The 4 single attribute clans once resented us because we used them as pawns, but that was for their own survival. Spirit Hall targeted the direct descendants of our Clear Sky sect. Had they stayed, they would have suffered more intense attacks. They should be grateful. The key threats are Douluo and Wang Li. Douluo's lethal poisons and Wang Li's 200,000-year spirit rings give them power comparable to a super Douluo. They could pose problems for reunification. Our ancestor is recuperating in the back mountains. We shouldn't disturb him for every matter. If I go to deal with Douluo and Wang Li, do the elders dare to face them if both are present? The elders exchanged confident smiles. Tang Yi said, "Wang Li is only level 91, newly a titled Douluo. His strength lies in those 2 100,000-year spirit rings. With our combined ultimate technique, Hammer shakes heaven and earth, we can suppress him. He injured Tang Hao and killed Tang San. Now that our ancestor has allowed their recognition and return, they are part of our clan. We must exact justice." Tang Xiao nodded. Tang Hao had been his younger brother. Tang San, the son of that brother, and Yin. He felt it necessary to act for Yin as well. Since the elders are confident, we will handle those 2 without alerting our ancestor, bring back the 4 single attribute clans, and annex the 4 element academies. Our sect will recover more than half of its former strength. I will go first to persuade the 4 single attribute clans and the academies, then we will deal with Douluo and Wang Li. "Agreed," Tang Yi said. "Let's do it." Soon after, Tang Xiao arrived unannounced at Heavendo City's Blue-Silver sect, the Strength Clan's base, which still served as the Blue-Silver sect's main compound since their new mountain gate had not been completed. His unexpected visit stunned the clan leaders of the 4 single attribute clans. Only Douluo himself allowed him into the hall. Even so, the clan leaders watched Tang Xiao with cold indifference. Douluo spoke with a hint of amusement. "Sectmaster Tang, what brings you here today?" Tang Xiao bowed slightly. "I'm not here to negotiate with you personally. Uncle, Taitan, Niu Gao, Yang Wudi, it's been over a decade. I have come to invite you to return to the Clear Sky sect. With Ancestor Tang Chen presiding, our sect is strong and need no longer fear persecution from Spirit Hall. The separation, all those years ago, was done for your safety. Spirit Hall had targeted the Clear Sky sect. Had you stayed, you would have faced even greater danger. Now, returning will only bring benefits. Our ancestor has obtained a divinity's inheritance. Once he completes the assessment, he will become a god, and the Clear Sky sect will stand forever. Consider carefully, refusal will be regretted for life." Douluo snorted. The clan leaders bristled. Yang Wudi's eyes flashed as he spat. "Nonsense. The Clear Sky sect abandoned us before and never cared for our lives. Now you claim it was for our good? The Breaking Clan has no intention of returning." Niu Gao and Tai Tan sneered without words. Bai He shook his head. "Tang Xiao, you abandoned your own uncle. We know exactly what your Clear Sky sect is like. We have our own path. You're not welcome to interfere." Tang Xiao's expression hardened. There were misunderstandings. Yes, resisting then would have led to destruction. Not resisting was to save our strength. Now our ancestor has returned. I come with sincerity. Consider your future. Douluo's face remained cold. You try to poach our people right under my nose. If you won't explain yourself properly today, we'll settle this outside the city. Let's see who's superior." Tang Xiao drew in breath and let his imposing aura loose. The hall seemed to shrink around him. "Very well. Since you cannot make the right choice, I will decide for you. This is your notice. In 3 days, I will lead the 5 then titled Douluo elders of the Clear Sky sect to destroy the Blue-Silver sect. When the Blue-Silver sect is gone, the 4 single attribute clans will know how to choose." Douluo rose, releasing his own formidable aura. He was a level 97, 1 spirit level above Tang Xiao, and even 1 level's gap was enormous. He answered coldly, "Anytime. Do you really think 6 titled Douluo can act recklessly? It would just be a fight." Tang Xiao's confidence did not waver. "Then we'll meet in 3 days." With that, he left. The elders were determined the 4 single attribute clans would be brought back. The clan's native combat power far exceeded that of the miscellaneous spirit masters the sect had recruited. After Tang Xiao departed, the clan leaders exchanged looks and declared in unison, each voice firm, "The Strength clan will live and die with the Blue-Silver sect. The Defense clan will live and die with the Blue-Silver sect. The Speed clan will live and die with the Blue-Silver sect. The Breaking clan will live and die with the Blue-Silver sect." Douluo's expression softened into a chuckle. "Don't worry so much. Those idiots from the Clear Sky sect have no idea of my grandson-in-law's talent and strength." Douluo knew Wang Li had no bottlenecks. After a year of seclusion, his power would have risen further. He was confident the Blue-Silver sect could withstand the challenge. 3 days were coming, and with them the clash that would decide whether the Clear Sky sect reclaimed what it believed was rightfully its own. 208. Take a day off. I wrote a lot, then deleted it all. With the way things have been building, today should have been a high-octane scene, but it just didn't feel right, so I'm reworking the plot to turn up the tension. Today's chapter will go up tomorrow. I'll make up the missed day after that. 3 days passed in a flash. Word had spread through Heaven Dew City that the Clear Sky sect intended to move against the Blue-Silver sect, and that the Clear Sky sect had the backing of the 4 single attribute clans. It seemed deliberate. Clear Sky wanted to make an example of Wang Li and Douluo to assert their authority and to reclaim those clans after the fight. The city's people were nearly unanimous. The Blue-Silver sect was doomed. Even though the Blue-Silver sect counted 2 titled Douluo among its members, the Clear Sky sect boasted 7, including the 99-level Super Douluo Tang Chen, a name that carried terrifying reputation. Everyone was pessimistic. Few dared approach the Blue-Silver sect's headquarters, afraid of getting caught in the crossfire. On this day, Ning Fengji, schoolmaster of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, arrived flanked by Sword Douluo Chen Xin. Douluo let them in and greeted them calmly. "Schoolmaster Ning, I know why you're here. The hidden weapons order my sectmaster placed with you will be delivered on time, but we won't refund the deposit." Ning Fengji gave a wry smile. He hadn't come about the deposit. He quickly adopted a serious tone. "Your Grace Bilin, I'm not here for that. Your sect is in grave danger. Since Tang Chen returned, the Clear Sky sect has become a force few dare provoke. If they insist on dealing with you, why not disband the sect? Without the burden of a sect, where on the Douluo Continent couldn't 2 titled Douluo like you go? The deposit won't be refunded," he added after a pause, "but we've been old friends. If you 2 ever need money, have no fear. Serve as guest elders at my school whenever you like and we'll provide." Douluo understood at once. Ning Fengji was trying to recruit them, an offer of safety and benefit. He chuckled. "Thank you for your concern, Schoolmaster Ning, but I don't think it will come to that. If you're not in a hurry, stay and watch us repel the enemy." Douluo had little worry. He'd been to the ice and fire yin-yang well and seen how terrifying Wang Li had become. That aura, heavy as a mountain, vast as the ocean, made even a 97-level Super Douluo's blood run cold. Ning Fengji frowned. He knew these 2 weren't ordinary titled Douluo, but even so, what could they do against a 99-level Super Douluo? He wanted to persuade them further, but before he could, Douluo looked toward the main gate, smiled coldly, and said, "They're here." Tang Xiao arrived with the 5 elders and a large detachment of Clear Sky disciples, including many powerful spirit Douluo and spirit saints. 6 titled Douluo led the formation, a crushing pressure in their wake. Tang Xiao glanced at Ning Fengji and Dugubo standing in the courtyard and said flatly, "Schoolmaster Ning, this is a matter between the Clear Sky sect and the Blue Silver sect. I hope the 7 treasure glazed tile school will not interfere." "Dugubo, I gave you a chance. Since you refuse our goodwill and obstruct the return of the 4 single attribute clans, then there's no need for the Blue Silver sect to exist." "Where is Wang Li? Is he hiding in fear?" Ning Fengji hesitated, but practicality won out. He signaled to Chen Xin and both withdrew. The leaders of the 4 single attribute clans and the deans of the 4 element academies, even Lu Gao, stepped forward, ready to stand and die with the Blue Silver sect. Dugubo looked at the arrogant Tang Xiao and the Clear Sky sect behind him, then pointed up. "Look up." Tang Xiao hadn't expected Dugubo to remain so calm. He looked up. A fierce wind blew, the sky darkened, and a black giant tiger over 8 meters long beat its black wings and hovered above. A strong, ominous aura rippled outward, obscuring the heavens. "It's a spirit beast. What kind of spirit beast is that? How can one appear in Heaven Dew City?" "That fluctuation, dark demonic evil god tiger, rarer than a man-faced demon spider. Every one is a walking apocalypse." Panic rippled through the crowd. Tang Xiao's expression shifted. The tiger's presence felt like a threat. Dugubo laughed. "Clear Sky sect, if you have the guts, let's take this to the sky. This place is too small." He launched into the air. Tang Xiao's face fell. Things were not going according to plan, but he steeled himself. With 6 titled Douluo and a super Douluo to back them, he thought they had enough. Beside himself with righteous fury, he shouted, "All elders, follow me into the sky. Clear Sky's sons fear no enemy." The 5 elders roared their assent and shot into the heavens. Below, the remaining disciples of both sects bristled but held back. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the sky. Ning Fengji turned to Chen Xin. "Uncle Sword, let's go see." Chen Xin nodded, and with his one good hand, took Ning Fengji up. On the head of the dark demonic evil god tiger stood Wang Li. He swept his gaze around and said with mild surprise, "Only you mortals? Where's Tang Chen?" "Tang Chen didn't come? A 99-level super Douluo shouldn't be so weak." His words were provocative. The 6 from Clear Sky seethed, but Tang Xiao felt something else. Wang Li's aura was too powerful. It seemed the energies of heaven and earth revolved around him, like subjects serving a king. Wang Li felt godlike. Tang Xiao could barely accept it. Illusion, he told himself. This had to be an illusion. He bellowed, "Impudent madman, how dare you speak of our ancestor like that? Our ancestor was an unrivaled super Douluo a century ago. Don't pretend you even knew where you were then." 5 elders, today we can't let this go. I will deal with Dugubo. The rest of you handle Wang Li. Make him pay. Tang Xiao guessed the tiger might be their trump card, the beast itself, but the 5 elders didn't care. Led by second elder Tang Yi, they exchanged glances and stepped forward with confidence. "Offending our ancestor is unforgivable," the second elder said. "Even if you control that dark demonic evil god tiger, you will die today. Behold the Clear Sky Grand Array." They moved in formation. Tang Xiao advanced on Dugubo, and Dugubo met him. Both called forth their spirits. Spirit ring circles appeared beneath their feet. Each had the same ring configuration, 2 yellow, 2 purple, 5 black, 9 rings in total. Wang Li looked at the 5 elders. He had expected Tang Chen to come, but only these 5 had shown. He felt no particular interest. 3 days earlier, Dugubo had warned him the Clear Sky sect's ancestor Tang Chen had returned, that Tang Chen, Slaughter King of Slaughter City, had come back. Without the sea god's light to purify him, Tang Chen's return could only mean Asura god had intervened to help him. But now, only these elders came. "You 5 attacked together? I'll give you a quick death," Wang Li said, calm and cold. The second elder snorted, "Empty boasting. We'll teach you." At the cry, all 5 summoned their spirits. Each gripped an obsidian gold Clear Sky hammer. Spirit rings flashed, 2 yellow, 2 purple, 5 black apiece. 5 titled Douluo, 45 spirit rings in total. The second elder roared, "Clear Sky Grand Array. Hammer shakes heaven and earth." They stood back to back. Their spirit ring circles resonated, and their auras linked. Their shared power surged, pushing them into the super Douluo tier. The combined force even outshone Tang Xiao. The second elder laughed. "Junior, don't think we're ordinary titled Douluo. Now feel our power. Heaven-shattering strike. He hurled his clear sky hammer. The hammer expanded in the wind until it was a 30-meter-long behemoth, radiating pure destruction, charging toward Wang Li. Wang Li didn't bother to summon his spirit. He raised his right hand and activated a spirit bone skill from his left leg, blue-silver overlord spear. Golden blue light coalesced, materializing into a 12-foot spear in his hand. Facing the colossal hammer, Wang Li threw the spear. There was no explosive collision, only a deadly stillness, and then the spear passed clean through the hammer, entering its head and exiting the handle as if slicing through paper. The clear sky hammer shattered in a brilliant burst like fireworks. A wind of flames scattered everywhere. The second elder spat blood. His spirit had been ruptured. He was gravely wounded. The spear still carried momentum and streaked toward the other four. In disbelief, the second elder tried to rally them. Clear sky body protection. 4 hammers whirled into a protective ring, an obsidian gold shield. It was useless. The spear's edge shredded their defenses. The clear sky grand array collapsed. Their merged aura exploded into fragments. 5 figures were hurled through the air, battered and ruined. Wang Li pressed his advantage. With a flick of his palm, the weather changed. World energy converged, twisted, and churned like an unstoppable grinder. A single point of his finger swept the second elder into it. The shout that followed was bestial. Within moments, the second elder was torn apart. Before the others could react, Wang Li's casual gestures annihilated them as well. He killed titled Douluo like swatting ants. The spectacle left everyone speechless. Tang Xiao stood stunned, voice trembling. Second elder, third elder, fourth elder, sixth elder, seventh elder. How? How is this possible? Seizing the moment, Douluo Bo unleashed his 9th spirit ability, Lin Divine Light. A green beam shot from his mouth. Tang Xiao tried to react, but the beam struck him. The light carried a corrosive toxin. Douluo Bo's ultimate poison refined when he broke into 97-level spirit power, condensed into his core. Tang Xiao's skin began to fester. He screamed and poured spirit power into suppression, but his spirit power itself was being corroded. In an instant, the table had turned. The Clear Sky Sect's 6th-titled Douluo, who had entered with such confidence, ended up with 5 dead and 1 critically injured. On the ground, Clear Sky disciples went pale and scattered. Ning Fengji spoke up urgently. Blue-silver crown, the rest of the Clear Sky Sect has fled. They're surely going to fetch their ancestor Tang Chen, the 99-level Super Douluo. Wang Li looked down serenely. Don't worry, it's fine that Tang Chen comes. I'll deal with everything at once. And if Tang Chen still comes today, I'll deal with him too. 210. The Threat of God, Shura. About 3 hours later, a bloody light suddenly flashed above Heaven Dew City, followed by a vast, terrifying aura. Tang Chen's face filled with killing intent. He had been recuperating in the mountains when a disciple of the Clear Sky Sect reported that the 5 elders had been slaughtered and even the sect master was severely wounded, his life hanging by a thread. Enraged, Tang Chen immediately located the source and rushed here. He hovered in midair and shouted, "Who is Wang Li? Come out!" Wang Li rose to meet him, leveling off at the same height. They stared each other down. From Tang Chen's aura, Wang Li could tell part of his strength had reached godly proportions, though he hadn't fully broken through. Tang Chen studied Wang Li. Blue hair, blue eyes, handsome, tall and young, yet an overwhelming aura made the energies of heaven and earth revolve around him. With such terrifying power, could he be a god's successor like Tang Chen himself? Tang Chen did not strike immediately. Cold-faced, he probed first. "You are Wang Li? You're the one who killed my Clear Sky Sect's 5 elders. Where's Tang Xiao? Return him." Wang Li answered calmly. "I'm Wang Li. Tang Xiao? I'm afraid he's already become a thick, viscous liquid. If you'd come a little earlier, you might have seen his bones. Now there are none." What? Tang Chen's mind felt as if it had exploded. The 5 elders were dead, and Tang Xiao too. Killing intent erupted uncontrollably. His gaze went cold. Through clenched teeth he spat. "You brat, what a vicious heart. So merciless. Do you want to feud with my Clear Sky Sect?" Wang Li shrugged. "Are all of you from the Clear Sky Sect the same? Tang Xiao led people to destroy my sect. That was already unforgivable. Why are you acting like the injured party now?" Tang Chen snorted and raised both hands. On his left formed a 2-meter-long, heavy Asura demon sword of bloody light. On his right bloomed a dark golden clear sky hammer. Spirit rings surfaced one after another, and a monstrous bloody aura spread out, the killing domain. "Then you shall be buried with my clansmen," he snarled. Tang Chen streaked forward like a rainbow. Wang Li felt the bloody light try to corrode him, but once it touched his body, it was instantly decomposed within him. Not bothered, he watched Tang Chen close and casually threw a single punch. Space twisted, energy compressed, and a terrifying force burst forth. Tang Chen slammed down his clear sky hammer but misjudged the strength. Boom! A deafening crash sent him flying backward. The force transferred through the hammer into his body, making his internal organs feel as if they were on fire. Crack! 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 The clear sky hammer, refined to the brink of a divine artifact, began to fracture with countless hairline fissures as if it would shatter at any moment. After tumbling 100 meters, Tang Chen barely steadied himself, choking back blood. He stared at his cracked hammer in stunned disbelief. He possessed demigod-level power, stronger than a divine attendant like Douluo, yet facing Wang Li, even his spirit felt ready to shatter. What kind of strength was this? Could it be? He looked up at Wang Li in shock. "You're that unknown powerhouse with divine realm power." Wang Li replied, mildly surprised. "Seems you know something, but I still won't let you go." There was no time to dwell on the ninth trial. Tang Chen had to survive. He unleashed the Asura divine force he had mastered. Killing domain, killing hell. Bloody light solidified into chains with powerful binding properties. Wang Li dodged at first, then easily grabbed one of the chains. The chain tried to bind him, but his power was too great. The chain collapsed on its own. Wang Li now clearly understood. These chains had special effects, but a strong enough power could break their restraints. He thought Tang Chen must be an heir of the Asura god, tied to rules the Asura god wielded. Although he hadn't become a god, the amplification from his million-year spirit rings and million-year spirit bone far surpassed many gods, enough to ignore Tang Chen's chains entirely. Tang Chen watched in dumbfounded disbelief as his hell chains collapsed upon touching Wang Li. Seeing Wang Li close in, the seasoned veteran made a split-second decision. He detonated 8 spirit rings, 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 4 black. Terrifying power surged through him, seeming intent on utterly obliterating him. He intended one last desperate strike, but he had miscalculated. His body, long corroded by poison, couldn't withstand it. As the power threatened to tear him apart, it suddenly converged into the Asura demon sword. Tang Chen's body, beyond his control, unleashed a bloody sword chi like a dragon, seeming to aim at destroying heaven and earth. Wang Li barely raised a hand to swat the attack away, then closed the distance in an instant, seizing the Asura demon sword in one hand and Tang Chen's throat in the other. He lifted him off the ground. Tang Chen's face turned purple. He struggled, but Wang Li's grip was like an iron clamp, unyielding. Bang! Tang Chen detonated his 9th soul ring, a 100,000-year spirit ring. Power surged into him beyond his body's limit. His form collapsed. A bloody light shot from between his brows into the Asura demon's sword. The sword melted inch by inch, grip dissolving into formless bloody light that shot out toward the southwest. Wang Li dropped Tang Chen's lifeless body. As he stood there considering whether to pursue the fleeing bloody light, a majestic, angry voice echoed in his ear. "Human powerhouse who attained godhood through the flesh, may you soon comprehend the rules. This lord awaits you in the god realm." Wang Li frowned, then relaxed. "Asura," he murmured. He had no intention of going to the god realm yet. Asura could wait. The protagonist's strength was simply too great. Battles couldn't get intense. It would only become interesting when Bibi Dong became a god. Chapter 211, The Haotian, Clear Sky Sect, completely disappeared. After dealing with Tang Chen, Wang Li returned. For him it had been an effortless fight, but to everyone else he seemed like a god on earth. There was no other way to explain such overwhelming power. He casually annihilated 5 elders of the Clear Sky Sect, and even Tang Chen, who had risen to fame a century ago and recently dominated the Spirit Empire with his strength, fell to Wang Li with ease. The contrast was chilling. On his return, Wang Li said to Douluo, "Grandpa, I'll leave the aftermath to you. Don't leave any hidden dangers." Douluo smiled and nodded. "All right, though you're stronger than me now, my poison is still best for cleaning up deeds like this." With that, Douluo rose and flew east, disappearing in an instant. Wiping out an entire sect could not be done openly. Calling it aftermath was the most fitting euphemism. Everyone present understood but kept silent, not wanting to put themselves in an awkward position. It felt unreal that the Clear Sky sect, famous across the Douluo Continent, was about to vanish. Wang Li stepped forward and addressed Ning Fengji. Headmaster Ning. Ning Fengji looked like a student suddenly called upon, tense and overwhelmed, feeling small before a superior. Present, he managed. Wang Li waved a hand and laughed. Headmaster Ning, don't be nervous. Our sect's crisis has been resolved. The hidden weapons we traded will be delivered on schedule. Taitan, how many sets have been delivered and how many remain? Taitan immediately stepped forward. Over the past year, we've delivered 350 sets of hidden weapons. Another 150 will be delivered within 3 months. Ning opened his mouth, then gave a bitter smile. He hadn't come to press for hidden weapons this time. Given the recent events, asking to recruit Wang Li or Douluo would have been humiliating. The Clear Sky sect, once thought untouchable, had been crushed. Still, Ning tried to salvage something. Blue-silver crown, he said. The hidden weapons from your sect are top quality, essential for self-defense. 500 sets won't be enough. I'd like to order another 500 sets and a separate batch of godly Zhuge crossbows. I hope we can establish long-term cooperation. What do you think? He looked at Wang Li expectantly, practically offering payment on the spot. Wang Li had no reason to refuse. He nodded. No problem. Headmaster Ning is a major client. The weapons we deliver will be the best. Ning was overjoyed at Wang Li's acceptance. The order was finalized and signed in duplicate. During the exchange, Ning kept wanting to ask if Wang Li had become a god, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. After the signatures, as they parted, Ning confided to Chen Qin in distress. Uncle Jian, I misjudged him again. I hope this makes up for it a little. Tell me, do you think Wang Li has become a god? Chen Qin's face turned solemn as he thought of the power that had bent even heaven and earth to Wang Li. I'm afraid so. That isn't power a normal spirit master can have. In front of Tang Chen, I could still sense a gap. In front of Wang Li, there is only an abyss. Ning Fengji bitterly regretted not forging a closer relationship with Wang Li earlier. His growth had been abnormal. He must have the favor of a god. But that realization came too late. After seeing off the outsiders, Wang Li gathered his people. From their reports, he learned how their sect had developed. The infrastructure had taken shape, and next came subdivision, accommodation, dining, work, cultivation, study. Wang Li approved. To do great spirit tool research, they needed proper equipment, facilities, and personnel. Lu Gao had already mastered most of the hidden weapons and was now focusing on the peacock plume, Buddha's Fury Tang Lotus, and the torrential Pear Blossom Needle. These weapons involved rare metals and complex forging. The Clear Sky sect's accumulated material wealth had been surprisingly large. As for spirit tool research, it wouldn't be replicated overnight. They first needed to thoroughly understand the materials and then master the core array methods for converting spirit power. Once that was grasped, research could explode forward. As night fell, Douluo returned. Only he and Wang Li remained. They laid out their spoils of war. For a spirit master, the most prized possessions are spirit rings and spirit bones. On the table before them, dozens of spirit bones of all shapes and sizes glowed with colorful light, turning the room as bright as day. Wang Li examined them in amazement. The Clear Sky sect looked poor, but they were actually rich. Each of the 5 elders had 1 or 2 spirit bones. Tang Xiao had 4, and Tang Chen had 6. Over the years, they must have hunted high-level spirit beasts, not just for spirit rings, but to harvest spirit bones as well. That explains how so many titled Douluo could appear in just 20 years. Grandpa, choose carefully. We should only absorb the ones that truly suit you so we can maximize your potential. Douluo stared at the dazzling bones, feeling both overwhelmed and a little embarrassed. Even titled Douluo often only have 1 or 2 spirit bones. Now I can choose freely, and you're telling me to be picky? If others knew, they'd be green with envy. The Clear Sky sect's accumulation over the years is all ours now. Thankfully, your strength rose so fast. Otherwise, this would have been a bloodbath. Wang Li chuckled. That won't happen. With these spirit bones, it might still be hard for you, Grandpa, to immediately reach the 99th rank, but forcing a breakthrough to the 98th rank is definitely possible. First break to the 98th rank, then cultivate in seclusion to stabilize your spirit power and adapt to the new realm. After that, refine a great tonic from immortal herbs, take it, and enter seclusion. A breakthrough to the 99th rank will be within reach. Douluo was stunned by the plan, but excitement burned in his chest. A 99th rank Super Douluo was the pinnacle, immense strength and dramatically extended lifespan. The stronger one's spirit, the richer one's life essence, and the longer one might live. Few Douluo reached old age because of constant conflict. Lifespan estimates were mostly speculation, but everyone agreed greater strength meant greater life force. A day later, after Wang Li had arranged everything, he and Douluo returned to the ice and fire yin-yang well. Douluo began absorbing the 5 spirit bones he had chosen. Most of the Clear Sky sect's bones came from power-type beast spirits. The Beelin snake was a top-tier beast spirit. Douluo's spirit was an evolved Beelin snake ancestor spirit. Absorbing these power-type bones would dramatically increase his physical strength and grant 5 additional spirit bone skills, enough to more than double his combat power. With his current 97th rank spirit power, absorbing 5 bones would smooth his breakthrough to the 98th rank. The news that the Clear Sky sect had vanished shocked the Douluo Continent. 7 titled Douluo, 7 in full, had been annihilated. The scale was terrifying, even though the destruction of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan and the heavy damage to the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School had been widely reported. Publicly, only one titled Douluo, Yuanzhen, had died. Chenshin and Gurong had survived with severe injuries. But Wang Li had already been hailed as a god across the Spirit Empire and Spirit City, and even among the Supreme Pontiff Palace. In the Spirit Hall conference chamber, a long table filled the center, chairs for the elders lining both sides. On the main seat sat a gold-inlaid, jade-studded chair, once the symbol of the Spirit Hall Supreme Pontiff's power, now a symbol of the Empress of the Spirit Empire. That chair was now reserved for Bibi Dong. A smaller, delicate chair beside it held Hu Liana. She was pale and disbelieving. The man she had once wanted to defeat had grown into something that made her tremble. Lifting her head painfully, she addressed the elders. Elders, we are here to discuss the demise of the Clear Sky sect and how Wang Li's actions will affect the Spirit Empire and our unification plans. The titled Douluo looked at one another. There was really nothing to discuss. Even Tang Chen had once routed them. Snake Lance and Porcupine Fish were dead, and Yue Guan and Guimei's Wuhan fusion, the two-pole static domain, had been instantly torn apart. Empress Bibi Dong and High Priest Chan Daliu had been defeated as well. If Tang Chen had not retreated, they might have been buried under corpses. The key was that Tang Chen, formidable as he was, had been killed by Wang Li. Rumors that Wang Li had become a god explained his power. Several of them realized with relief that Wang Li had not led forces into the canyon during Spirit Hall's 7 Great Sects re-election a year ago. Otherwise, their 6 titled Douluo and 5,000 elites might have died then. They had narrowly escaped disaster. Where there had been fury, now remained only fear. Even mentioning Wang Li sent chills down their spines. Yue Guan looked at Hu Liana's pallid face with pity. Holy Maiden, this is beyond us. Do not provoke him. For now, do only what must be done and wait for the Empress to come out of seclusion before making any big decisions. The Spirit Empire must survive for our grand plan to mean anything. Yue Guan and Guimei were loyal to Bibi Dong and spoke gently. Devil Bear and Ghost Leopard were less restrained. Devil Bear remembered how they had led forces to intercept Wang Li. What had that been but sticking their necks out for the blade? He snapped in anger. The Empress was too hasty. She did too many things at once, destroying the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan, crippling the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, then immediately re-electing the 7 Great Sects and declaring the Spirit Empire. If everything had gone smoothly, we'd be pressing the Heaven Do Empire to the north and the Star Luo Empire to the south, unifying the continent in one sweep. Instead, after Tang Chen and now Wang Li, we live in constant fear. Why couldn't she have waited? Hu Lina opened her mouth to protest, but couldn't. Devil Bear was telling the truth. the spirit empire was in a precarious position. And she was only a spirit emperor, nominally the holy maiden of Spirit Hall, but powerless to chide the elders, who as titled Douluo wielded great authority. Helpless, she prayed inwardly that her teacher would leave seclusion soon. The spirit empire needed her. At the same time, Bibi Dong had indeed reached a critical point, deep within the Rakshasa secret realm. It was a dark, sunless world of gray skies and lifeless land, devoid of plants or animals. The air itself brimmed with evil. It bred demonic thoughts capable of awakening the worst in any living being. This dead world was made of those sordid, corrupt thoughts, the source of ultimate evil power. Inside a ruined temple, terrifying and boundless energy swelled. Demonic thoughts pressed outward like a tide. The Rakshasa God Road, opened at the cost of 10,000 spirit masters, had arrived at a decisive moment. Bibi Dong was undergoing heart refinement, an arduous discipline to control the ultimate evil power. Her obsession with reshaping or destroying the world made her temperament disturbingly compatible with that dark force. The outcome of this refinement would determine whether the spirit empire's fate swung toward salvation or further catastrophe. 212. War begins. A ripple of laughter tore through Spirit City and beyond. As it echoed, the sky dimmed. Even the sunlight seemed to recede. The city, long suffused with the sacred aura of the angel god, had always calmed any spirit master who entered. Now that sacred presence was being suppressed, trapped within Douluo Hall, while Spirit City itself was blanketed by an oppressive, uncanny darkness that made people's skin crawl. Worse, the Rakshasa divine force was sowing demonic thoughts into their hearts. If those thoughts took root, personalities would be perverted, tyrannical, bloodthirsty, cruel, indifferent. They would become the walking embodiment of evil. Above the city, purple-black currents swirled into a maelstrom. Bibi Dong, now a divinity, flew out in purple-black divine regalia, wielding the Rakshasa demonic scythe. Her power had surged with divinity, and her resolve had hardened into one goal: to destroy this defiled world. "I am your empress, Bibi Dong," she declared. "I have become a divinity. I will lead the citizens of the Spirit Empire to overthrow the evil rule of the two great empires and build a future for spirit masters, a future for the Spirit Empire." Her voice seemed to carry a compulsion. The citizens of Spirit City, their minds poisoned by Rakshasa force, roared as if released from restraint. Bibi Dong glanced toward Douluo Hall with contempt and thought coldly, "Qian Daoliu, your son ruined me, so I will eradicate your entire angel lineage. Once I plunge the continent into utter darkness, where rape, pillage, arson, and robbery are common, no one will worship the angel god anymore. Your line's foundation will be severed. Divinities are not truly immortal, but as long as the foundation of faith endures, a new divinity can be reborn." Bibi Dong did not just aim to cut off the Qian family's bloodline, she wanted to turn the angel god into a legend of the past. Inside Douluo Hall, Qian Daoliu stood with his hands clasped behind his back, staring at Spirit City now shrouded in darkness, except for the hall's light. He frowned and said, voice deep and steady, "Darkness falls. Everything depends on you, Xiao Shui. Douluo Hall still holds Angel God's divine force. For now, Bibi Dong cannot enter. We still have a chance. The angel lineage still has hope. A single ray of light in the dark can split it wide open. You must defeat Bibi Dong and become the continent's savior." He turned, resolve set in his face. Qian Daoliu had long prepared to sacrifice himself for the cause. For his granddaughter, for the glory of the angel god, he no longer cared for his own life. Although his role in Qian Renshui's angel god inheritance had been limited, she had a strong will and had wielded angel god's power deftly. Her 200,000-year spirit rings gave her a solid foundation. Those advantages were enough to match Bibi Dong's power as a divinity, but not to destroy her. Qian Daoliu's final trump card was faith. Spirit Hall had been established under the glory of the angel god. When angel god returned, she could reclaim control of that power. Evil cannot triumph over good. With a vast well of faith behind her, angel god could pierce through the darkness and annihilate the Rakshasa corruption. Qian Daoliu's gaze burned like a torch. His granddaughter would become a heroine, a goddess worshipped by all. Bibi Dong returned to the Supreme Pontiff Palace. Her divine regalia faded. She put on her purple gold gown and resumed the magnificent imperial demeanor of an empress. Juliana was ecstatic. Her prayers had been answered. Her teacher had emerged from seclusion, and as a divinity. "Teacher," she saluted. Facing Hulina, Bibi Dong's sharpness softened for a moment into something almost like tenderness. "Nana, no formalities," she said, smiling. "Has anything major changed in the Spirit Empire while I was gone? If everything is ready, I will, as a divinity, launch a holy war against the Heaven Do Empire and the Star Luo Empire. Tang Chen will no longer be an obstacle. I will slay him personally." Only before Juliana did Bibi Dong show that trace of softness. Juliana snapped to attention. "Teacher, Tang Chen is dead. It happened not long ago. The Clear Sky sect was annihilated. Wang Li did it. Intelligence says Wang Li's strength reached the level of a divinity. He casually killed the 5 elders of the Clear Sky sect and slew Tang Chen even when Tang Chen appeared. This shattered morale across the Spirit Empire. Thank heavens you emerged in time, teacher. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable." Bibi Dong was stunned. She had rushed to ascend to divinity precisely to contend with Tang Chen, the inheritor of Asura god. Now Tang Chen was gone, and by Wang Li. If true, it meant Wang Li was no ordinary foe. Tang Chen had broken through to Super Douluo and, through Asura god's trials, advanced to demigod, almost god level. For someone to kill him meant that person must be god level. Bibi Dong could not be careless. Wang Li would be a fearsome enemy. Still, she resisted disbelief. She had schemed years to become a divinity and had sacrificed tens of thousands of spirit masters from the 7 great sects to do so. How could Wang Li, who had only become a titled Douluo around 20, leap from a level 91 titled Douluo to a god-level powerhouse capable of killing Tang Chen in barely a year or two? It seemed impossible. No bottlenecks, no long accumulation. Even divine trials should not grant that kind of power overnight. She composed herself. "Nana, rest easy. I inherited a first-grade divinity, Rakshasa god, the divinity of slaughter. No matter how strong Wang Li is, he will not be my match. From now, I will take full control of the Spirit Empire. Soon we will settle who wins against the Heaven Do and Star Luo empires. Even Wang Li cannot stop this unification." Juliana's tension eased. She saluted again, solemn. Victory belongs to Teacher and to the Spirit Empire. Within a month, Bibi Dong, back as a divinity, had purged dissent and restructured the Spirit Empire. Morale soared. Fighting spirit ran high. She issued a proclamation from Spirit City, cataloging hundreds of supposed crimes by the 2 great empires, and, invoking her status as a divinity, declared a holy war. The war began. The Heaven Do and Star Luo empires mobilized, but the news was grim. Although Bibi Dong and many titled Douluo had not yet fully engaged and their armies were sometimes disadvantaged in direct confrontations, their forces did not collapse immediately. Still, few believed the 2 empires could prevail. Spirit Hall had too many spirit masters of high caliber, and Bibi Dong herself was a true divinity. In Heaven Do City's imperial palace, Shui Beng, who had sat the throne less than 3 months, roared in desperation in front of his ministers. "Why is this happening? What do I do? Is the empire to be destroyed just months after I ascended? How can I face the former emperor? How can I face our ancestors?" The court sat in silence, not from disloyalty, but because the enemy was overwhelming. Seeing that, Shui Beng's expression went hollow. He turned to Ning Fengji, someone he distrusted until now, but whom the late emperor had called a pillar of the realm. "Schoolmaster Ning," Shui Beng said with forced sincerity, "when the former emperor was alive, he compared you to the empire's pillar. Now the Spirit Empire threatens us with overwhelming force. What should we do?" Ning Fengji stepped forward. "If the lips are gone, the teeth will be cold." Once the Spirit Empire reached Heaven Do City, there would be no mercy for the remnants of the 7 treasure glazed tile school. Ning declared, "Your Majesty, the Spirit Empire's armies are assembled from former kingdoms and duchies. Their combined effectiveness is limited. Though the spirit masters among them are numerous and powerful, if our soldiers fight bravely, it's not impossible to resist." The key is Bibi Dong. Her declaration as a divinity gave the Spirit Empire morale, and she herself is a foe we cannot easily defeat. If the Blue-Silver Crown assists us, perhaps we can stand a chance. Shui Beng's eyes brightened, then dimmed. "Schoolmaster Ning, you know how difficult that is. Some decisions of the former emperor I cannot simply overturn." Ning's voice hardened. Then would your majesty rather watch Heaven Do be destroyed and remain monarch of a fallen realm? Startled, Shui Bang clenched his teeth. Fine. Send someone to invite the blue-silver crown to the palace. Ning was disappointed. Shui Bang was no Shui Qinghe. Your majesty, he pressed, in a crisis like this, you should go personally to show sincerity. Shui Bang hesitated. He feared humiliation. He was, after all, the emperor. But after deliberation, he nodded reluctantly. I will go. For the Heaven Do Empire, I will personally invite the blue-silver crown. He expected that Wang Li would at least grant him an audience. The next day, after the emperor went in person, the news hit like a thunderclap. Wang Li was not there. He had gone into seclusion. Not only Wang Li, but Douluo Bo was in seclusion as well. Shui Bang was stunned, yet he did not relent. He came every day, waiting for Wang Li to appear. At the Ice and Fire Yin-Yang Well, Douluo Bo had relied on 5 power-type spirit bones to break through to soul power level 98. Though his talent and potential were largely tapped out, reaching soul power 98 made him one of the continent's most terrifying figures, poisoned armor and all. He could kill you, or make your life worse than death. But that breakthrough came at a price. It was fueled by spirit bones, and Douluo Bo needed time to stabilize and master the sudden influx of spirit power, so he chose seclusion. Douluo Yan was at a turning point too. Her 8th soul ring came from the 100,000-year Sky Azure Bull Python, a spirit beast comparable to a super Douluo. Absorbing that spirit ring and a spirit bone had only pushed her to soul power level 86, but she possessed strong endurance. After more than a year of effort, she reached level 89, but the final leap to title Douluo eluded her. So she changed tactics. Rather than forcing a realm breakthrough, she focused on condensing a Danzu, pill core. Each day she mobilized the viscous, mercury-like spirit power in her body, forming and compressing a vortex, again and again. The vortex kept collapsing and reforming, gradually solidifying. At last, it became a perfectly round, jade-green Danju in her dantian. Her fluid spirit power turned solid. The barrier that had held her back dissolved, and she broke smoothly through to soul power level 90. Her spirit, the Bilin snake, evolved into the Biphosphorus dragon. Breaking to level 90 had condensed a Danzu. Conversely, compressing a Danzu could produce that breakthrough. With the aid of the yearning heartbroken red and crystal blood dragon ginseng, whose medicinal properties had been fully expended, the Biphosphorus dragon evolved again, ascending to what could be called the Biphosphorus dragon empress. The Danzu itself was a dragon pearl, a treasure forged from her venomous cultivation, refining her toxins into a form of ultimate poison. For Douluo Bo to reach that same level of ultimate toxin refinement, he would need to cultivate to soul power level 97. If Douluo Yan ever reached level 97, her poisonous cultivation would easily surpass his. Her 5th soul ring, her innate spirit ring, reflected her nature, a black ring suffused with red light, slightly muted because she had not yet absorbed a 9th soul ring or broken fully to title Douluo. As for that 9th soul ring, Wang Li already had designs on it. Tomorrow, I'll settle the matter of Douluo Yan's 9th soul ring. If anyone has ideas, help me think of some skill names. Every time I have to come up with names, it strains my mind. 213. Deep Sea Demonic Whale King. A streak of black light shot across the sky toward the west. Riding inside that ribbon of darkness was the dark demon evil god tiger. On the tiger's broad back sat Wang Li and Douluo Yan. Wang Li said confidently, "The ocean is a vast soul beast forest. The variety and quality of sea soul beasts are no less than those on land. This time, your 9th soul ring will come from a marine soul beast. We'll first stop at a coastal city and buy a detailed sea chart, then set sail. If all goes well, we'll get results quickly." Douluo Yan linked her arm through his and looked at him closely, curiosity bright in her eyes. "I believe my 9th soul ring won't be poor, but I'm more curious. Have you really become a god? While I was in seclusion, you solved the Haoqian sect's troubles so easily. 5 titled Douluo elders, even that level 99 Tang Chen, who supposedly passed the god test, you slew them like nothing." Wang Li smiled at her astonishment. "Not really a god. My soul power rose, but I lack some comprehension of the great Tao. I'm not truly a god yet. Still, my strength has always been very high. Even some true gods might not necessarily be my match." Douluo Yan's eyes widened with shock. To be able to defeat a god, that's almost the same as being a god. They headed first to Hanhai City, the busiest coastal city in the Western Heavendu Empire. Wang Li's purpose was simple. They bought a sea chart. The chart warned the demon whale sea territory was extremely dangerous, but that didn't faze him. In the city, they also learned that the Martial Soul Empire had launched a war against both the Heaven Do Empire and the Star Luo Empire. Battles raged along the borders of the three empires, and the two great empires were steadily retreating. This was without Bibi Dong, already a god, personally appearing on the field. If she did, the outcome would likely be disaster for them. Duguyan spoke her worries aloud. Bibi Dong leads the Martial Soul Empire and seems determined to unify the continent. You refused her several times. She must hold hostility toward us. If she truly unifies the land, that could work against us. Should we let her finish the two empires or try to stop her and keep the current balance? Wang Li admitted he was a little surprised. It wasn't Qian Renshui who first achieved godhood, but Bibi Dong. Still, the situation had already shifted so much that unexpected turns were normal. No rush, he said. Right now, we should help you find a suitable ninth soul ring. Bibi Dong hasn't personally taken the field yet. Once she does, I'll deal with her. I won't let someone hostile to me unify the continent. Though, honestly, unifying the continent isn't necessarily bad. Duguyan settled that thought and felt secretly pleased that Wang Li prioritized her matter. They delayed their departure until morning, lodged in a room in Hanhai City, and left at dawn the next day. Outside the city, Wang Li focused his thoughts. The dark demon evil god Tiger, which carried a wisp of his divine sense, flew out of the forest to form a mount beneath them. They didn't need a ship. The tiger could travel over the sea. In a short time, they reached the boundless horizon. The salty breeze invigorated them. Wang Li checked the sea chart and ordered the tiger northwest toward the demon whale sea territory. Their target was the deep-sea demon whale king, a million-year soul beast on the verge of transforming into something akin to a god. In truth, with Duguyan's current accumulation, it would normally be difficult for her to absorb a million-year soul ring. But if a million-year soul beast willingly offered its sacrifice, it could become possible. How to make it offer such a sacrifice? Coercion and temptation. Wang Li didn't consider himself a good man. He would use whatever means worked. The demon whale sea territory was vast. As territory of the million-year deep-sea demon whale king, other sea overlords dared not approach. That made searching difficult, but not impossible. Though his blue-silver domain wouldn't be very effective over the open ocean, Wang Li's vast divine sense could cover the sea and pick out the demon whale king's unusual energy like a bright lamp in the dark. He chuckled. Found it. Dark demon evil god tiger, speed up northwest. The tiger howled and obeyed. Duguyan was surprised. They'd only just set out, and he'd already found the target. She grew curious about precisely what kind of soul beast he intended for her ninth ring. Deep beneath the waves, the deep-sea demon whale king felt a probing divine sense and did not flee. Million-year soul beasts were proud. This one simply waited. In some ways, it was like Wang Li. Both stood with a foot in godlike power, but lacked some comprehension of the great Tao. Still, the difference in true strength was enormous. The Whale King had 1 million-year soul ring and 1 million-year soul bone. Wang Li had 9 million-year soul rings and 6 million-year soul bones. The gap was gargantuan. If it did not escape now, it wouldn't get another chance, but the Whale King did not yet see that. Moments later, the tiger reached the Whale King's location. With a thunderous boom, a vast water column shot skyward with incredible speed, giving no one time to react. The blast carried little destructive energy, but drenched anything struck. A roar rolled across the waves. The tiger unleashed its evil god's protection, a gray energy shield, and the water column smashed against the shield, dispersing. When the spray settled, a 200-meter behemoth broke the surface. It had purplish gold skin like armor and a single, massive eye. From that single eye radiated contempt and mockery. It did not speak aloud. The voice came at a mental level. Land soul beasts have become so pathetic, enslaved to humans and serving as mounts. I'm ashamed for you. The tiger growled angrily at the insult, but had only one thought. Do you know how powerful the human on my back is? You're going to regret this. Wang Li flew out and confronted the Whale King directly. Deep-sea demon Whale King, I've come for you. I've heard how you once contended with the sea god for the title of sea god and were blinded in one eye by him. You're a million-year soul beast, halfway to godhood. I want you to offer a sacrifice for my fiancée, to give your soul ring, your soul bone, and all your power to her. I'll spare your life and revive you afterward, but your cultivation will only recover to the 100,000-year level. The Whale King bellowed in fury. Wang Li mentioning the sea god and the one-eyed wound had struck a sore place. Now he wanted the Whale King to offer itself in sacrifice. Its anger exploded. Human, I will eat you. No matter how powerful, I will devour you. Wang Li shook his head. Of course it would not yield so easily. Eighth god skill, Heaven Man transformation. Around him no visible soul rings appeared. Hiding them came easily to Wang Li now. But his blue-silver emperor energy swelled explosively, strands intertwining and merging, forming a terrifying battle body 1,000 meters tall. This was the Heaven Man transformation after attaining godlike power. Against it, the Whale King's 200-meter bulk already seemed small. The Whale King gaped. How could a human grow so enormous? This must be false. Before it could finish its thought, Wang Li intensified his power again. Seventh god skill, blue-silver true body. Boom! A staggering amplification surged his battle body to an enormous scale. Winds and clouds shifted color, the sea trembled, and the energies of heaven and earth stirred. In an instant, a colossal giant 11,000 meters tall stood between sea and sky, its figure descending slowly. Its presence created a repulsive force that churned the ocean into monstrous waves and water walls thousands of meters high. At the giant's center, the sea became a void, as if a god had used a technique to part the waters. This was Wang Li's battle body and its inherent energy field. A stomp could shake mountains and split seas. A sweep of a hand could rend space. Heaven Man transformation freed the vitality of the blue-silver emperor, and blue-silver true body amplified it to absolute power. Though costly to use, the force was irresistible. Wang Li reached out with that enormous hand. As it moved, the sky cracked with black fissures, and streams of black airflow drifted from them toward the giant form. They had no effect on this godlike body, but any non-god entity struck by those black currents would be ripped apart. The deep-sea demon Whale King was stunned. Even the sea god of old hadn't wielded such power. In panic, it gathered its million-year cultivation into a single, desperate attack. Purplish gold light swelled in its mouth, twisting the surrounding space, then burst forth like a concentrated beam. It struck the giant hand and made it pause for a heartbeat, but the hand continued closing. The Whale King realized with dawning terror that its full-strength strike had barely dented this enemy. Escape was impossible. The area was locked by the energy of heaven and earth. In the giant's palm, the 200-meter colossus felt like a small fish flipping and thrashing but could not break free. Wang Li landed on the wrist of his battle body, looked down at the helpless Whale King, and laid out his terms. Deep-sea demon Whale King, you have two choices. 1. Offer yourself as a sacrifice for my fiancée. Give all your soul ring and soul bone to her. I will revive you afterward, but your cultivation will be reduced to a 100,000-year level. 2. Refuse, and I will crush you to death here. I will use your whale brain and whale pearl to enhance my fiancée's talents, your soul bone to boost her physical strength, and the rest of your body will not be wasted. It will be fed to my dark demon evil god tiger. The tiger roared in excitement at that threat, saliva practically flowing from its maw. Eating the Whale King could elevate it to a 100,000-year soul beast, a rare opportunity. It glanced at Wang Li with adoring, pleading eyes, urging him to finish the beast. Wang Li shot at a glare and silenced it, then continued. If you still won't become my fiancée's soul ring, I'll simply continue exploring the deep sea. You can't hide. With my methods, no soul beast can escape my grasp. You're called the deep-sea demon Whale King, and you're a deep-sea beast. If I find your wife or your daughter in the depths, who do you think I'll make my fiancée's 9th soul ring then? The Whale King roared and writhed in fury, but all its struggling was useless. It panted heavily, and through its single remaining eye, sent a mental voice full of hatred. Human, you are despicable. Wang Li smiled slightly and answered calmly. Thank you for the compliment. I never said I was a good person. 214. 8 soul skills, eyes restored. The deep-sea demon whale king, humiliated and unwilling to be made a slave, lowered his massive head and with a voice like thunder growled, "Human, I swear, I won't resist if you spare my wife and children." Wang Li nodded. "Fine, I won't slaughter indiscriminately. I only want the 9th soul ring that suits you best." He fixed his gaze on the whale. A thread of divine force flashed from his eyes and met the deep-sea demon whale king's gaze for a heartbeat, then retreated back into Wang Li's own eyes. The whale king suddenly felt as if its innermost self had been read through. It roared in shock and fury. "Human, what have you done to me?" Wang Li glanced at him. "I copied your memories. Don't worry, if you sacrifice yourself willingly, I'll return them to you in the end." The deep-sea demon whale king's alarm grew. This human was far more troublesome than he'd imagined. Not only was he powerful, he had strange means. Wang Li gave a finger snap, and the dark, demonic evil god tiger shot over, its expression unreadable. The whale king, who had mocked the tiger for being enslaved by a human, now found himself casually handled by one. Damn, he'd been so close to eating whale meat today. Wang Li chuckled and said, "Yan Yan Jie, prepare to absorb your 9th soul ring." Duguyan's face was still stunned. The 9th soul ring he'd prepared for her had come from the million-year-old deep-sea demon whale king, such a spirit beast qualified as a divine beast. The whale king looked at Duguyan with a resigned, reluctant sorrow. He understood he was the sacrifice's target. Helpless, he said, "Human, even if I sacrifice myself, you may not withstand my power. I don't care if you live or die." With that, he burned his cultivation. A purple-gold pillar of light shot skyward, and vast divine might echoed outward. The energy formed a tremendous magnetic field. Under its pull, Duguyan's body flew into the pillar. Her expression was steeled. She had to seize this chance to absorb the million-year spirit ring of the deep-sea demon whale king. The whale king's energy poured into her the moment she entered the pillar. Duguyan completed the spirit possession by herself. Spirit rings, 2 yellow, 2 purple, 2 red, 2 black, and 1 gold, whirled around her, 9 in total. The whale king's vast energy began to refine and reshape her. Part condensed into a spirit ring, part into a spirit bone, part into a surge of spirit power. The energy made her strength climb rapidly, but it also felt like her body would be torn apart. Because the whale king had sacrificed himself, his enormous power flowed gradually into her. If she'd tried to absorb his spirit ring directly, such a flood of energy would have annihilated her. Teeth gritting through the pain, Duguyan endured. She could not let Wang Li's efforts be wasted. She began to marshal the explosive energy within, ordering her biphosphorus dragon emperor spirit to devour it in huge gulps and transform it into her own strength. Her 5th natal spirit ring, biphosphorus devour heaven, could perfectly devour and digest energy. At that moment, it ran at full capacity, constantly devouring, constantly refining, constantly strengthening. The ring that had been red with black gradually turned pure blood red, the color growing deeper. The biphosphorus devour heaven ability itself was mutating. It was no longer limited to absorbing energy. It began to take on material form. In the future, when summoned, it would truly become a devouring sky giant python, an enormous creature capable of devouring heaven and earth. Outside the pillar, Wang Li watched everything closely. When he saw Duguyan withstand the initial surge, he let out a light breath of relief. From then on, he only needed to wait for time to do its work, while hoping nothing unexpected happened. 1,000 miles away, on Sea God Island, the high priestess Poseidon, the sea god's servant, felt the ocean's strange energy fluctuations. She could not ignore them, and set off immediately. As she approached, she saw a spectacle she would never forget. A water wall thousands of meters high, as if an invisible magnetic field were parting the sea. Through the water wall, she glimpsed the purple-gold pillar of light. The fluctuation was unmistakable, the deep-sea demon whale king's energy. Poseidon could scarcely believe it. The deep-sea demon whale king, a million-year spirit beast who had once struggled with sea god for dominance of the sea, had voluntarily sacrificed himself? Then she saw something even more horrifying. Behind the pillar stood a colossal figure, immeasurably tall and unbearably majestic. It was this giant that pushed the surrounding sea aside. Around it, even the sea god's divine force seemed impotent. The sight nearly shattered Poseidon's faith, the sea god's domain being intruded upon by an unknown powerhouse that expelled the sea god's influence. If the giant looked over, the world's energies obeyed that glance. Poseidon dared not stay. Panic-stricken, she fled, thinking, "Sea god, what do I do now?" Wang Li glanced toward her and said aloud so the sound reached her ears, "Poseidon, high priestess of Sea God Island, I'll grant you face. I won't touch the people of your island. But if your sea god comes out to interfere, don't blame me for cutting off your inheritance in this world." He expected the sea god's people to discover this area. It was their domain. He didn't want trouble, but he would retaliate swiftly if provoked. After that, the people of Sea God Island did not appear again. Perhaps the sea god tacitly allowed what had happened. Wang Li waited patiently for 7 days. During that time, Douluo endured excruciating pain day after day, but the outcome was tremendous. Her skin, flesh, organs, bones, and meridians all took on a golden sheen, the sign of a divine body. 9 spirit rings rotated around her, 2 yellow, 2 purple, 2 red, 2 black, and 1 gold. Though not on Wang Li's level, it was still an awe-inspiring array. When she opened her eyes, they shimmered green and purple gold for a moment before settling into emerald green. Wang Li asked with concern, "How do you feel?" Douluo smiled as if a lifetime had passed. "For 7 days I suffered like I was in hell," she said, "but the results are worth it. My spirit power has jumped to the 97th rank, Super Douluo level. My 5th spirit ring is about 700,000 years old now. The devouring sky giant python I summon can absorb any energy attack. It's impervious to blades and spears and resistant to water and fire. It's an extremely powerful defensive spirit ability. My 9th soul ring granted me 4 spirit abilities: Biphosphorus Destruction Light, Biphosphorus Abyss Devour, Biphosphorus Black Prison, and Biphosphorus Dragon Emperor's Wrath. The first is offensive, the second defensive, the third a control ability, and the 4th amplifies power. 1 spirit ring alone gave me 4 abilities. And the deep-sea demon whale king's left leg spirit bone brought 4 more. Vortex Water Blade, single target with great cutting power. Raging Sea Surges, an area attack made of energy waves. Demon Whale Heavy Cannon, compressing water into heavy shots for single target strikes. And Demon Whale Ice Crystal, turning water into countless ice prisms for group attacks. Besides that, his sacrifice evolved my spirit and enhanced my body in ways I can scarcely describe, as expected of a million-year spirit beast. Wang Li's eyes showed approval. Indeed, a million-year spirit beast yielded far more than 100,000-year one. The Sky Azure Bull Python's sacrifice had helped her reach rank 90 faster. The Deep-Sea Demon Whale King's sacrifice would speed her toward rank 99. After rank 95, he advised, to further increase spirit power, you'll need to continuously compress and purify your power and resonate with your spirit. In future training, you can even mentally communicate with your spirit. That will help a great deal. I'll take care of what comes next, he added. He walked to the whale's shriveled corpse and touched it. A whale pearl the size of a baby's fist rolled from the empty eye socket into his palm. It pulsed with strong energy. This is the Deep-Sea Demon Whale King's Whale Pearl. It contains a powerful energy fluctuation. Deep-Sea Demon Whale King, appear. The golden whale pearl, like a translucent gelatinous sphere, trembled and glowed. A palm-sized projection of the Whale King's spirit rose above the pearl. The tiny spirit snapped angrily. "Human, you've gone too far. My spirit ring and spirit bone are gone to you. This whale pearl is my last spiritual sustenance. If you take this too, my soul will disperse." Wang Li smiled coolly. "I promised, didn't I? I will resurrect you. How fully you recover will depend on your luck." He waved. The blue-silver emperor's spirit, the coiling blue-gold serpents, spread out and wrapped the whale's corpse. Blue-gold airflow and the blue-silver emperors merged with the body. The once lifeless corpse twitched, then flesh and blood began to knit. The shriveled whale gradually plumped up, its aura grew stronger. After half a day, the Whale King looked almost back to his former state, except for his soul. His eyes, which had been blinded by the sea god's divine mark, were now intact. Wang Li tossed the whale pearl. As it landed on the Whale King's forehead, it emitted a rich purple-gold light. The pearl and the spirit rejoined. The whale's soul returned. A roar shook the sea. The Whale King's aura leapt from roughly a 100,000-year level to at least a 300,000-year level. Without his spirit ring or spirit bone, he couldn't recover to a true million-year might, but his whale pearl had restored him to a formidable 300,000-year existence. Having his sight and his soul back, the Whale King felt relieved, even as he mourned the loss of 700,000 years of cultivation. He glanced at Wang Li, then dove into the deep sea without looking back, only shouting, "Human, if I ever meet you again, I won't forget this. Damn, my 700,000 years." Wang Li watched the whale flee and smiled. He brought his fingers together in a sword sign, touched his brow, and pulled outward, drawing a wisp of divine sense. With a flick, it shot through the air and chased after the whale like a tiny pursuer. Duguyan came to his side. "What did you do just now?" she asked. Wang Li explained. "I copied his memories. He kept his promise and sacrificed himself. I don't intend to pry into anything private. His original million-year cultivation has become your spirit ring and spirit bone. He can still rebuild his strength by devouring other sea spirit beasts." Duguyan nodded. "If he hadn't sacrificed himself, I never could have absorbed a million-year spirit ring." 215. If you don't understand the truth, I have a clue. After dealing with Duguyan's 9th soul ring, they set out to return. Partway back, a thick plume of smoke rose from the ground. Wang Li swept his divine sense and found a village under attack by a pack of wolf-taken. Wolf-taken were the product of storm devil wolves, spirit beasts that did not keep themselves isolated from humans. When they mated with people, the offspring became half human, half beast, cunning enough to think, but far more given to violence and depravity. They were notorious for assaulting women and committing other atrocities, and so had long been hunted down. "This will do," Wang Li said to the dark demonic evil god tiger. "Among these wolf-taken are 3 leaders on the level of 10,000-year spirit beasts. The rest are on par with 1,000-year spirit beasts. Decent food." The tiger howled. If it could not get whale meat, wolf-taken would do. It dove into the fray and began a brutal spree. The small wolf-taken were no match for it. Though they might menace humans, how could they contend with this beast? It tore them apart, leaving none alive. The 3 green wolf-taken leaders, the ones comparable to 10,000-year spirit beasts, were swatted to death with a single paw. When the slaughter was done, the tiger licked the blood from its paws, picked up a spirit bone, and flew back into the sky. Spirit beast bones were useless to the tiger, but humans prized them. The tiger intended to bring the bone back for Wang Li. Wang Li took it, praised the tiger, and they continued toward Heaven-Do City. No sooner had they arrived than Shuibeng and Ning Fengji came rushing in. Both looked grim and urgent. Clearly something critical had happened. In the reception hall, Shuibeng, abandoning courtly reserve, bowed and said, "Blue Silver Crown, please save the Heaven-Do Empire. The Spirit Empire has started an unprovoked war. They're slaughtering our soldiers and civilians along the border. If you don't intervene, they'll reach Heaven-Do City soon." Wang Li kept his voice calm. "Your Majesty, I follow the great Tao and prefer not to meddle in mortal politics. Empires rise and fall. Such conflicts are better left to their own course." Shuibeng opened his mouth to argue, but Ning Fengji stopped him. Ning Fengji looked at Wang Li with something like reverence. This detached, unworldly calm was the same Wang Li he had always known. He spoke earnestly. "Crown, it's not just about saving our empire. This is about saving the continent. Bibi Dong has turned monstrously evil. Our 7 treasure glazed tile school was devastated. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan was wiped out. This has to be her doing. Now that she's a divinity, she's become a Rakshasa, an evil god, not a just one. Under her influence, the Spirit Empire is filled with criminals. Rape, plunder, all manner of atrocity has become commonplace. The Spirit Hall isn't the Spirit Hall of old. It behaves like a wild beast, lawless and cruel. Crown, I beg you, stop Bibi Dong before she destroys the continent." Wang Li frowned. It matched what he suspected. Bibi Dong had inherited the Rakshasa god position and shown no restraint. If she continued, she might very well make the whole continent into a slaughterhouse. He looked up. "Has it really gotten that bad in the Spirit Empire?" Ning Fengji nodded. "Yes. Reconnaissance teams we sent to track her report the same thing. Black clouds hang over Spirit City. People touched by those clouds change, suddenly committing murder, arson, rape, robbery. Every day, the horrors grow. Wang Li stood. You two should return to Heaven Dao. I'll go to Spirit City myself. If Bibi Dong has truly lost herself, I'll deal with her. Ning Fengji hesitated, then asked, Blue Silver Crown, do you need our forces? The Empire can send troops to buy you time or hold back some enemies. Wang Li waved him off. No, I don't want my efforts divided by having to protect your troops while I fight Bibi Dong. Reluctantly, Shui Beng and Ning Fengzi left. Objectively, they had secured his attention, but they felt frustrated. Once they were gone, Wang Li turned to Du Guyan. I'm heading to Spirit City. If Bibi Dong has gone mad, I'll handle it. You've only just broken through. Stay at the sect to stabilize your realm and get used to your 8 spirit abilities. Du Guyan had wanted to come, but a fight with a true divinity wasn't something she should blunder into. She nodded. Be careful. Bibi Dong is a true divinity. Don't give her an opening. I know. Wang Li gave the expected answer, though he wasn't truly worried. I won't be careless. Good, Du Guyan smiled. Return safe. Alone, Wang Li flew to Spirit City and arrived within half a day. As he approached, he sensed what Ning Fengji had described. Evil ran rampant, the people tormented and brutalized. The black clouds over Spirit City were not mere weather, but an evil divine force that poisoned hearts. It stirred wickedness in people, and the evil acts those people committed fed the force, letting it grow. Bibi Dong. Wang Li's voice was quiet but carried across the city. Come out and speak. Bibi Dong, who had been drawing divine force in her chamber, opened her eyes. Cold light flashed in them. She sensed him, smiled with contempt, and said loud enough for all below to hear. Wang Li, even without seeking you out, you come to me. Fine. Then I'll be the one to cut down the last obstacle to my remaking the world. Black light swirled around her. Her purple gold gown was swallowed by grotesque Rakshasa divine armor. A malignant aura radiated from her. She reached for the Rakshasa demonic scythe, and with a step she soared into the sky. Looking down at Wang Li, she sneered. Wang Li, I never expected you would become my greatest obstacle. I should have killed you after the Grand Soul Master tournament. It's not too late now. The Spirit Empire is full of believers who feed me divine force. No matter which divinity your blood inherits, you cannot stop me. Wang Li stayed calm. I am not the inheritor of any divinity. If your goal were merely to unify the continent, I might not oppose you. Unification can be a good thing. But look at the chaos in the Spirit Empire. Rape, plunder, endless atrocity. That's not some inevitable consequence. You incited it. You stir the evil in people's hearts and let them unleash demonic thoughts to supply you Rakshasa force. If you unify the continent that way, you'll destroy it. That I will not allow. Bibi Dong laughed, a sharp, cold sound that turned to mirthless shouting. Ha! You dare accuse me? What right do you have to judge what I endured? No one on this continent can condemn me. I've inherited the Rakshasa god and become a first-class divinity. No one can stop me. I will destroy this filthy world and sever the angel lineage's roots. Wang Li said nothing about her sufferings. The melodramas of the past, the tangled motives, the scandals, he had no patience for judging them. Whether you were wronged or not, your current actions are intolerable. If you won't listen, I have no choice. Bibi Dong's face hardened. Under Rakshasa divine force, Wang Li still stood unaffected. He was clearly a god-level expert. But something puzzled her. Wang Li had the energies of heaven and earth at his command, yet there was no divine armor or exclusive divine weapon formed by divine force on him. That oddity registered only briefly before she struck. Without warning, she drove Rakshasa force into her scythe. The blade glowed with a dark sheen, and with a swing, condensed a black scythe of light hundreds of meters long. Its chilling presence made the air chill. A first-class divinity's power was something Wang Li had never faced before. He raised his left hand and released the million-year left arm spirit bones ability, Eternal Seal. A green light swept the sky, and where the black scythe of light hung, the energy froze, solidified, locked in mid-air, as if connected to the heavens themselves. A million-year spirit bone could grant 4 spirit abilities, and now the full strength of those abilities converged into this one terrifying seal. With Wang Li's spirit power at the divine force level, the technique became a divine skill. Bibi Dong's expression shifted. She immediately counterattacked without hesitation. If energy strikes couldn't work, she'd use a physical one. She flung the Rakshasa demonic scythe. It spun, faster and faster, forming a disc. Its oppressive force warped the air. Black cracks crawled across the disc's edge as it closed on Wang Li. Wang Li remained unhurried. With a flip of his palm, the blue-silver overlord spear appeared. Blood and chi surged through him. With more than 10 million jin of spirit-enhanced strength, he drove the spear through the spinning disc. The disc slammed away with a thunderous boom, blasting off faster than it had come. Even Bibi Dong did not dare catch it. She dodged, watching it sail further. Her face went pale. Though she had become a divinity, she felt as if her divinity were a sham. Her divine skills could not land on him. She formed seals and poured in vast Rakshasa divine force. "Calamity, curse, annihilation," she intoned. The black clouds above glowed purple as Rakshasa force surged to form a massive magic array. A crushing pressure, like sky collapsing and earth overturning, plummeted toward Wang Li. He only smiled, then simultaneously unleashed two powerful spirit abilities. Eighth Divine Skill, Heavenly Human Incarnation. Eighth Divine Skill, Heavenly Human Myriad Transformations. An explosive surge of blue-silver Emperor energy flared and coalesced. In an instant, a titan appeared, a giant 1,000 meters tall, blue-clad and wielding a matching blue-silver overlord spear. The colossus drove its spear upward. Space split. The strike's momentum smashed through the magic array, dissipating that crushing pressure like air from a punctured balloon. Wang Li leapt onto the giant's shoulder. The giant was his duplicate. His face, his spear, everything identical. He grinned, looking perfectly at ease. "So this is a first-class divinity," he said. "Strong compared to a 99th level titled Douluo, perhaps, but still limited. You pose no real threat to me." Bibi Dong was stunned. She had truly become a divinity, but in this duel, her Rakshasa force and divine techniques seemed to have no purchase on Wang Li at all. Spirit City reeked of evil. The only place that still held any trace of the sacred was Douluo Hall. In the center of the hall stood the statue of the angelic sacred sword, its soft light driving back the darkness, a light Bibi Dong had spent everything to try to destroy. But brute force could not do it. Bibi Dong had used Rakshasa divine power to fan the demonic thoughts in people's hearts, trying to erase all faith in the angel god so she could raise this place completely. The angelic secret realm, the source of the angelic inheritance, lay within that very statue. Qian Renshui's inheritance had reached a turning point. After Bibi Dong ascended to godhood, Qian Douluo had given his life to open the path to godhood for Qian Renshui, for the sake of Spirit Hall and the angelic line. The final trial was a test of the heart. All the darkness in Qian Renshui's soul was unearthed, her lonely childhood after her father died and her mother's coldness, being sent to the Heaven Do Empire, the years living a treacherous undercover life, and the knowledge that Qian Douluo had willingly sacrificed himself so she might become a god. Those memories bound her spirit and kept her from being truly free, kept her from facing herself. As she sank into doubt, two faces flashed through her mind, Bibi Dong and Wang Li. The images passed, and Qian Renshui's expression steadied. "I want to become a god," she told herself, "publicly to confront my mother. I won't let that mad woman Bibi Dong destroy this continent. Privately, I want to beat Wang Li. He is a genius I admire, not as talented as I am, but his perseverance surpasses mine. With less natural talent, he has done far more. I will not hide from my past any longer. It is only the past. As the angel god, I will eradicate evil and uphold justice." With sudden clarity, she broke free of her inner chains. No one is perfect, and no god is flawless, but a god should at least have a clear conscience and not cloak wrongdoing in the name of justice. That would be the ultimate blasphemy. Light exploded through the temple. Within that radiance, a liquid of golden light flowed over Qian Renshui's body, the angelic divine attire. The golden liquid wrapped and formed pauldrons, breastplate, falde, the layered skirt, streamlined, clinging to her frame, all brilliant gold engraved with flame-like sacred patterns. It was magnificent and blinding. Her 9 spirit rings, originally 2 yellow, 2 purple, 3 black, and 2 red, shifted under the divine blessing into 6 black and 3 red. A new ring appeared, a brilliant golden ring that bathed the others in its light. The 10th ring, the mark of a god-level power, had been born. When the light faded, Qian Renshui stood as the angel god, clad in the divine armor, holding the angelic sacred sword. The tiny angel imprint on her forehead glowed. She opened her eyes and a flash of sorrow crossed them. Grandpa, I've become a god, but you can't see it. She straightened immediately, resolve hardening her features. In a deep voice, she said, "Let me use the angelic sacred sword to sever these karmic ties. Bibi Dong, the ill-fated connection between us ends now. You had no right to drag so many innocents into this." She stepped forward. A golden halo whirled before her and condensed into a vortex. She stepped into it and reappeared in the main chamber of Douluo Hall. The gathered, among them the six revered, and the golden crocodiles, bowed deeply at her arrival. "Young master," they cried. Qian Renshui inclined her head to reassure them, but a shift in the air pulled her attention skyward. She sensed the aftermath of battle, and her face changed. In an instant, she flashed out. Above, Wang Li and Bibi Dong were locked in combat. Bibi Dong was terrifying. Qian Renshui felt an aura from her, at least equal to her own, even more fierce. Yet she had no answer for Wang Li. The Rakshasa divine attire that had once made Bibi Dong so formidable lay shattered. Blood plastered her like a mad specter. Though Bibi Dong had attained godhood, Wang Li's attributes utterly overwhelmed her. He pressed her to the brink with absolute power. In the end, his 1,000-meter combat form hurled the blue-silver overlord's spear through her, the shaft tearing into her body as if to split her in two. Bibi Dong reached the edge of death with the last of her strength and spat a curse, eyes full of venom. "I will not die," she hissed. "As long as demonic thoughts remain in people's hearts, I will return. I will come back for revenge. I will destroy this world. I will destroy the angelic lineage. Gods can bind the rules. A god's words can begin to shape reality." Bibi Dong's dying curse had already started to take effect, but she was too weak even to struggle before Wang Li's spear finished her. Wang Li gave the corpse no heed. Even if she revived, he could kill her again. He turned and had already sensed Qian Renshui. She met his gaze, pulling herself together. Her expression was complex, then composed. "Wang Li," she said, "we meet again. You may not have seen me before like this, but I have watched you for a long time. I did not expect you to be so powerful, to slay an ascended Bibi Dong like that. Your strength, it's terrifying." Wang Li studied her quietly for a moment, then said, "Indeed we meet again. I used to call you Crown Prince. What should I call you now?" The words froze her. Her breath quickened. She blurted, "You knew I was She Qinghe? When did you know?" Wang Li smiled softly. "From the beginning." Shame and irritation flushed her face. She had thought she held him. In truth, he had seen through her from the start. Her voice was a little hoarse when she asked, "Then why didn't you expose me?" He answered simply, earnestly, "There was no benefit to me, and it could have put me in danger. Why would I? It was easier to pretend not to know." Qian Renshui ground her teeth, cheeks burning. She felt foolish remembering how she had tried to manipulate him. With emotion, the angelic sacred sword appeared in her hand. 3 pairs of wings fanned out behind her. Her spirit rings blazed in a ringed halo, 6 black, 3 red, and the new golden ring, while angelic divine force poured from her like a blazing sun, driving away the shadows. "Wang Li, fight me," she cried, voice threaded with furious humiliation. "I must defeat you." Chapter 217, Reach Consensus. Angelic Sacred Sword. Qian lifted the angelic sacred sword high. Behind her, a towering angelic phantom swept into being. Divine force condensed in the phantom's hand until a gigantic angel holy sword formed. Slash! Qian Renshui swung, and the phantom mirrored her motion. Light and heat flared from the blade, as if to cut down every shred of evil. Wang Li only shook his head and smiled faintly. He had wanted to talk to Qian Renshui. This spirit empire, left in chaos by Bibi Dong, needed someone to steady it. He could seize control by force, but that would waste time and might not be wise. It would be better to entrust it to someone capable. Judging by Qian Renshui's stubbornness, though, she wouldn't listen without a good slap. The colossal battle body at his back rocked its spear tip, tossed aside Bibi Dong's corpse, and met the angel holy sword. The great spear swept horizontally, smashing the angel holy sword to pieces, then thrust forward in a single piercing strike that went through the angelic phantom. Bibi Dong had already been beaten by Wang Li. Qian Renshui was far weaker. How could she possibly be his match? Qian Renshui's face was solemn. The force Wang Li wielded felt utterly irresistible. To defeat Bibi Dong like that, he must be monstrously powerful. Yet she, like Bibi Dong, wondered what god position had Wang Li inherited. He had no divine armor, no divine weapon, no overt divine aura, and still his divine force was overwhelming. There was no time to ponder that now. She straightened her shoulders. When she had ascended to godhood, she had sworn two vows, to defeat Bibi Dong and to defeat Wang Li. With Bibi Dong gone, her resolve only hardened. She raised the angelic sacred sword above her head and intoned with grave solemnity, "Solar Holy Sword." A column of golden light pierced the sky, as if summoning the sun. True solar flames cascaded down upon the continent. Heat seared, leaving charred trails in the air. Thousands of flames gathered on her blade. When she brought it down, a 500-meter-long crimson gold sword energy blade formed, thrumming with suppressed power that could shake heaven and earth when released. Wang Li chuckled. "No matter how many tricks you use, I'll break them with a single spear." Confidence born of overwhelming strength filled him. The battle body drove the spear into the sword energy blade. A violent explosion rocked the sky. Fierce flames licked everywhere, flames that would burn any titled Douluo to ash. But when the smoke cleared, Wang Li and his colossal battle body stood unscathed. Scorched marks healed quickly under their own life force. Qian Renshui stared, stunned. She couldn't even leave so much as a scratch. What kind of defense and regeneration was this? "I don't believe it. Angelic light blade." She swung again. Countless rays shone as energy gathered on the blade. When she struck, 4 radiant light blades flashed out in succession, their divine might enormous and their edges razor-sharp. Repeatedly unleashing such powerful divine skills wore on her. She had only recently become a god, her combat experience was thin, and her timing and the linkage between skills were clumsy. Despite the splendor of the explosions, the 4 light blades did nothing. Qian Renshui gripped her sword until her knuckles whitened. 3 pairs of wings fanned out behind her as her angel god's divine force surged uncontrollably. Angelic domain, great sun, angel, myriad suns ascending to heaven. Golden energy spread like wildfire. Within its radius, many copies of Qian Renshui appeared, each radiating blinding divine light. Her angelic armor seemed to burn. Behind them, a vast sun of fire rose. Moisture in the air evaporated. Even the air itself twisted and roiled, as if it would roast Wang Li alive at the center. Wang Li's gaze swept the battlefield. He waved his great hand and shouted, "Ink Jade Divine Bamboo Spear!" Boom! From behind the battle body, thousands of blue-silver Emperor spirits erupted, as if the body had grown 1,000 extra arms, all stained dark green and whistling outward. Bang! 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 One after another, they struck the blazing suns, piercing them. The blue-silver emperors flashed brighter against the flames. Even Qian Renshui's true form grunted and was driven back. Her angelic armor took dent after dent, all carved by the blue-silver emperors. At that moment, Wang Li's true body moved. He kicked the air into an explosion, tearing space itself, and darted forward to catch the retreating Qian Renshui before she could react. He pressed the spear against her throat. The sharp aura of the blue-silver overlord's spear left faint blood marks on her delicate skin. Qian Renshui froze, disbelief and stubborn pride wrestling across her face. At last, she turned her head and declared defiantly, "If you want to kill me, then kill me. I will not beg for mercy. Better to die gloriously in battle than to live in humiliation." Wang Li withdrew the spear. "I didn't come to kill you," he said quietly, "nor do I want to see you begging in shame. You started this fight. Don't be in such a hurry to seek death." "Look at Spirit City," he continued. "Because of Bibi Dong's rule, not only Spirit City but the whole Spirit Empire has descended into chaos. Rape, abduction, arson, robbery. The crimes don't end. Bibi Dong was an evil god, and Rakshasa divine force was the root of that chaos. She indulged in it to amass more Rakshasa force. If she doesn't die, the continent won't be safe. But even if she does, the mess she left behind will take tremendous time and effort to clean up. Do you still want to rush to your death? That would be irresponsible." Wang Li's words cut through her stubbornness. Shame flickered over Qian Renshui's face. Her fight with him had been selfish. An angel god of light behaving recklessly was indeed irresponsible. She looked at him with complicated emotion and finally bowed her head to admit the truth. "You're right. Thank you for pointing it out. I will spend my time cleaning up the chaos Bibi Dong caused. It is my responsibility and my duty. She straightened and spoke with new resolve. Wang Li, let me properly introduce myself. I'm not Shui Qinghe. I am Chan Renshui, the daughter of the previous Supreme Pontiff Chan Shunji and the current Supreme Pontiff Bibi Dong. My identity may have been a mistake, but I, the mistaken one, will end the karmic ties of the previous generation. Wang Li regarded her for a moment, surprised at her openness and the maturity of her heart. He smiled. I hope the continent can find peace from now on. Chan Renshui nodded gently and replied with firm conviction. It will. 218. Ask for leave. I need to figure out how to finish this. There won't be any more twists in the mortal world. What comes next is the protagonist becoming a god and his relationship with the god realm. He doesn't want to be bound by the god realm, but since there's no real enmity, there's no motive to destroy it. About the god position. Some readers were uncanny. They guessed it from just a few hints. It's creation, tied to life, but creating all beings goes far beyond simple plant life. This is my first time writing a Douluo novel. I tried my best to avoid many pitfalls, but I couldn't dig up as many exciting points as I'd hoped. I'll work to improve next time. 219. Temporary peace, new continent. The dark clouds dispersed and light returned to the world. Whether in the Spirit Empire or across the entire Douluo Continent, a new beginning had arrived. After that day, the Spirit Empire quickly halted its assaults on the Heaven Do Empire and the Star Luo Empire. Instead, it turned inward, reforming laws, enforcing discipline, and cracking down on criminals who had run rampant within its borders. Those who deserved arrest were arrested. Those who deserved death were executed. In a remarkably short time, the previously degenerate atmosphere was brought under control. High officials in the Heaven Do and Star Luo empires were stunned that the Spirit Empire, which had driven them back, had suddenly withdrawn and stopped its offensive. Lacking the strength for a large-scale counterattack, they could only send elite spirit masters to cautiously investigate reports from within spirit territory. What they discovered was staggering: a titanic battle above Spirit City that had darkened the skies, a confrontation whose aftermath stretched for thousands of meters. The former Supreme Pontiff of Spirit Hall, now Empress of the Spirit Empire, Rakshasa god Bibi Dong, had fallen at Wang Li's hand. Yet the Spirit Empire still possessed another deity, Angel God Chan Renshui, who had come perilously close to defeating Wang Li. Their duel had been decided by a single move. In the end, the two sides reconciled, which explained why the Spirit Empire ceased its attacks. A god had died. Wang Li's strength was beyond doubt. In the Heaven Do Imperial Palace, Xuebeng seethed with anger at the Spirit Empire's announcement. He thundered, "They start a war when they please and stop it when they please. How can we let them get away with this? They have a god, we have a god. With Blue Silver Crown here, we should seize the chance to pursue and destroy the Spirit Empire and reclaim the lands that belong to the Heaven Do Empire." Ning Fengji looked at the agitated emperor and said gravely, "Your Majesty, Blue Silver Crown did not fight for our sake, but for the people of the continent. He fought Bibi Dong to protect everyone. Killing a god likely cost him a tremendous amount of spirit power. If we insist on continuing the war, he will not help us. Asking one god to fight another to the death is not something we can compel. What we must do now is sign the peace treaty, focus on internal development, and strengthen the nation. Anyone who starts another war will become an enemy of all." Xuebeng's face hardened. As emperor, he found himself powerless to pursue his own will, whether before or after ascending the throne, an infuriating realization. He imagined leading the army himself, crushing the Spirit Empire, restoring the Heaven Do to former glory. That dream dissolved. He thought of the comfortable, profligate life he'd once led as a prince, and with a long, exasperated breath, sank into resignation. "Fine," he said brusquely. "If it's a ceasefire, it's a ceasefire. Prepare to send envoys to sign the peace treaty." Ning Fengji watched the sudden change, from belligerence to despondence, and felt a chill. How could that kind of leadership accomplish anything? He began to consider other courses. The imperial family could no longer be relied upon to revive the seven-treasure glazed tile school. The continent was far from peaceful. Perhaps it was better to withdraw, to seclude themselves in the mountains and rebuild from there. Both the Heaven Do and the Star Luo empires agreed to the treaty. It wasn't that the Spirit Empire had become weak. Rather, a ceasefire gave breathing room to all three powers. The balance of the three great empires was set. On the surface, the continent returned to peace. 1 year later, the Blue-Silver Sect and the Blue-Silver Academy were completed and opened. Influential forces across the continent sent gifts and sought admission for their disciples. With Wang Li as dean, the academy became the safest haven on the continent. If the three great empires began fighting again, this place would be untouchable. Wang Li accepted all comers and the student body grew rapidly. The Blue-Silver Academy soon became the premier institution on the continent. After putting the school on stable footing, Wang Li moved into a more hands-off role and set out to travel. He went west, crossed the boundless sea, and discovered a new continent. Smaller than the Douluo Continent, it was nonetheless crowded with numerous nations, constantly at war. States rose and fell so often that survival forced them to rapidly improve. They did so in two ways: by increasing the number of powerful individuals and by advancing spirit tool technology so that lower-level spirit masters could match those of higher rank. Under the pressure of war, this continent had developed an extraordinarily advanced spirit tool civilization. Wang Li knew he had come to the right place. After traveling its length, he settled on the Chongming Empire. He broke into the imperial palace and had a friendly conversation with Emperor Shuri Yue. In the end, with surprising ease, he exchanged 7 spirit bones for a wealth of spirit tool knowledge, core formations, material applications, and detailed schematics. Back on the Douluo Continent, Wang Li handed everything to Lu Gao. Lu Gao's eyes lit up. He treated the documents as priceless treasures and studied them day and night. He could see at a glance that this spirit tool technology did not threaten high-level spirit masters as the 3 great hidden weapons did, but its exquisite core formations fascinated him. They represented an alternative way of using spirit power, with potential beyond the peacock plume, the Buddha's Fury Tang lotus, or the torrential pear blossom needle. After several days of tinkering, dusty and disheveled but exhilarated, Lu Gao presented Wang Li with a simple spirit cannon he had built. Wang Li smiled. His efforts had not been in vain. He had finally recreated lost spirit tool technology. 220, Douluo Federation. With the invention of the first spirit tool cannon, Wang Li formally established the spirit tool department at the academy. The cannon was put on display, and students were allowed to visit. Any student from other departments who wished could transfer into the spirit tool department to study and research spirit tools. The backing for the new department was obvious. It even openly recruited students from other departments, though everything was voluntary. At the start, the spirit tool department's results were modest, but everyone expected that once spirit tools proved their worth, talent would come flooding in. The real turning point came when Qian Renshui of the Spirit Empire personally inspected Blue-Silver Academy. After talks with Wang Li, she invested 50 million gold coins to be paid in 3 installments, and the two sides began a formal cooperation on spirit tools. 2 years later, with sufficient funding and matured techniques, Blue-Silver Academy's spirit tool department produced an explosion of new spirit tools, almost a generation ahead of the rest of the Douluo Continent. The Spirit Empire, having started cooperation early, was the only power that immediately put these tools into use. In every field, the Spirit Empire pulled far ahead of the other great powers. Sensing the opportunity, Qian Renshui sent 6 high priests to the 2 great empires to deliver an invitation to the Heaven Do and Star Luo emperors. Come to Spirit City and discuss a peaceful unification of the Douluo Continent. In blunt terms, I intend to unify the Douluo Continent. You two should surrender. At the Heaven Do Imperial Court, Xuebeng stared at the 3 Super Douluo sent by the Spirit Empire, Xiangxi, Guangling, and Xiangmo, his face dark and his body taut. The feeling of having his fate in another's hands was terrifying. Xiangxi spoke in a deep voice. Your Majesty, the 3 great empires stand side by side on the Douluo Continent, each guarding against the others. That constant friction breeds endless conflict. Our Empress of the Spirit Empire has sent us to invite Your Majesty to Spirit City to discuss a peaceful unification. If your majesty is willing to make concessions, the Tiando imperial family will be preserved, and you will enjoy lasting glory and wealth. Everything we propose is for the good of the people of the Douluo Continent. We hope your majesty will consider it carefully." Shui Beng cursed inwardly. Asking for concessions was nothing more than asking him to surrender. How could the Heaven Do Empire have a monarch who surrendered? He glanced around the hall, searching for a minister to speak up on his behalf. No one met his eyes. Most had them lowered. In recent years, Shui Beng had grown complacent. Even Ning Fengji had led the seven-treasure glazed tile school to secede from the Tiando imperial family. The nobles and officials present, though all Heaven Do in name, were unwilling to die with him for the dynasty. The more Shui Beng looked, the deeper his despair. All the civil and military officials remained silent. Finally, Shui Beng rose and, furious, declared, "I am still a sovereign, and you are still my officials. I will go with you, but the Tiando imperial family must receive preferential treatment." Xiong Shi inwardly looked down on Shui Beng, but Qian Renshui sought peaceful unification, and Shui Beng still had a use. He nodded. "Your Majesty has made the right choice. You will not regret it." A month later in Spirit City, after a series of meetings, which in practice were unilateral notifications, between Qian Renshui, Shui Beng, and Dai Sendi of the Star Luo Empire, the Heaven Do and Star Luo empires were officially merged into the Spirit Empire. The Tiando and Star Luo imperial families were allowed to remain in Heaven Do City and Star Luo City, respectively, but only as long as they offered no resistance. In a remarkably short time, the Spirit Empire came to control the entire Douluo Continent, becoming its sole empire. Qian Renshui then enacted sweeping reforms, transforming the Spirit Empire into the Douluo Federation and installing herself as the first chief executive. Wang Li had influenced this change, but Qian Renshui herself was not an imperialist at heart. Spirit Hall had never been a conventional monarchy. It had been jointly governed by the Supreme Pontiff and the elders. The Supreme Pontiff could remove elders, and the elders could likewise depose the Supreme Pontiff. More importantly, Qian Renshui was the last living direct descendant of the angel god line. To whom would such a vast empire be bequeathed? Even if she wanted an heir, it would require cooperation from another. A god's body was not something anyone could step into at will. Her reform was not cosmetic. She carried it out as a deep, top-down restructuring. She divided authority, built checks and balances, curtailed the old nobles, and supported new nobles. The old nobles were mostly remnants of the two former great empires. They possessed titles, territories, subjects, and were powerful spirit masters. The new nobles were spirit masters who had risen from commoner roots. For a long time, Spirit Hall had actively awakened spirits from commoner children. Most of those awakenings produced weak or useless spirits, but with enough numbers, exceptions emerged. Some children displayed exceptional aptitude. When those rare talents rose to become spirit masters, many, lacking family power behind them, chose to take disciples from commoner families, creating a cycle of upward mobility. On the Douluo Continent, powerless commoners could not rise without help, but if some were willing to awaken and nurture talent among the masses, then a new path opened. Qian Renshui's reforms would reshape the continent's social structure for 1,000, perhaps 10,000 years. Wang Li, meanwhile, journeying across the Douluo Continent and contemplating the natural world, understood these changes better than anyone. He was pleased. Qian Renshui executes with terrifying efficiency. She can implement any suggestion I make, he thought. Such a capable ally gives me ample time to travel and comprehend the great Tao. The natural world, all living things, each bears life. The great Tao of life pervades everything. I wish to become a god, and I will use the attribute of life to create all beings. Wang Li's insight was clear. By applying his own life attribute to nurture the sun and moon, stars, birds and beasts, fish and insects, mountains and rivers, he could cultivate a new great Tao. In the god realm, there was a goddess of life. Wang Li intended to found a great Tao of creation with life as its basis, a real evolutionary process for the natural world and all living beings, not an illusion. If he succeeded, the power he would gain would be limitless.